Give it a sec. Do a sound check. Find our first replays for the day. Get everything all in order.
Do you know what's really fun?
You know what's really fun? You shutting up, advertisement. You go straight to heck. Do a sound check. All right, we seem fine. What's up, gang? What's up, what's up? I gotta go find Lenorm versus Hayseed for when we get started. Then I won't have to scroll so much. I'll just be there. Okay. Hayseed versus Lenorm. Cool. Cool. And there's Berserk and Blood Penguin. Dang, I got the 2 replays I need ready to go. That's crazy. That's crazy. Hey, Trogdor. What up, my smoker-lunged friend? Dude, the smoker lungs are still going strong. Still waiting on the race of the audience. Ha! Ha! Because Raced is a player. Ha! Ha! Silly. Is there a mistake on the bracket, or did you not do a previous couple round matches, Jeremy? That is correct. That's why I was looking for a Lenorm versus Hayseed. We'll get to it in a second. You don't even start with you, Torson, the nerve? I know, I suck. I will explain all soon. As for channel news, Smoke's still here. It's getting a little better. A little bit. I also went and got I went to the doctor and got a fancy steroid inhaler instead of my regular, just albuterol inhaler. Which I don't even usually need an inhaler. I only need it after, like, I go for a run or some shit. And then with the smoke, I was using it again, and it was like, man, this is not cutting it. So I went in and they go, yeah, your lungs are all inflamed. Take the steroid inhaler for 3 to 4 weeks and it'll help. So it's helping so far, but also the air's getting a little bit better. It's supposed to get worse again soon, so who fucking knows, but... I made the post on YouTube, and I posted it on my Discord, but with all of my lung capacity and power, we're going to put energy into the Legendary Lords Tournament and the Faction War, because the top 4 for Faction War is on Sunday. It's live, so I do have to get these replays out before the top 4 is live, so we have to do that. And then the Legendary Lords Tournament, I just want to do it and get caught up on it before a patch comes out and ruins all the replays. And then there are a couple live things I wanted to do. I wanted to continue my Karl Franz campaign, which has been a very long time, but I haven't forgotten about it. Just all this shit happened. So I want to do that. And then I wanted to host a serious try-hard best of 3 tournament, because I feel like there's a lot of single faction tournaments going on around right now. And I think we could use a good best of 3 full sweat. You know, everyone's playing the best they can tournament. And then I need to, part of the reason I want to do that tournament is because everybody's been doing single faction tournaments, and another reason I want to do it is to get a better read on the meta, so I can make a tier list video for the updated meta. All that to be said, there's a lot of live events we got to do before that are kind of important. So daily videos, I might release a couple here and there where I can edit them, but like to get back into the full grind of a video comes out every day at midnight my time, that might be a little bit. So just so you know. When's the next DLC? It's looking like October, Jeremy. It got pushed back from August to October. BO3 live or schedule as you can. I was thinking a live one-shot tournament, because we've done a lot of tournaments schedule as you can. And then Tequila Sunset and Tactical Itch have done a lot of best of 1 single faction tournaments. But all right, that's enough stalling. Let's get on with this. So as to the audience's questions about the bracket in front of you, you notice some of the games are done, some are not. Last time we streamed this, it was because there was a patch that I was not informed of, a big patch that was going to break every replay before it. It's the patch we're currently playing on. So I had to stream every game that happened before that patch real quick before the replays got borked. So that's why we have this kind of haphazard spread. It was just what games were done when the patch came out. What we're going to do today is every game that has been played since, up to the top 4, which I know what the top 4 is, and they are playing live on Sunday, as we have mentioned multiple times by now. So we're going to do every replay that is left. We'll start out with the people still in round 1. Lenormand versus Hayseed for Tzeentch and the Warriors of Chaos will be our first game of the day. We will get to the top 4 in this one stream. Let's do this. Top 4 will be live, but everything today will be replays, so we'll be just going back to back to back with games. Black screen for a second as it pops in. There we go. So Hayseed on the Warriors of Chaos versus NC Gala and his Tzeentch. Looks like he's repping the Changeling. Didn't have to. This wasn't the Legendary Lords tournament or anything. And Hayseed also taking a little off meta with his Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Metal with just Searing Doom on foot. Oh boy, he went very cheap with his caster. Okay. So for the Warriors of Chaos, we have Hellstriders and then triple Rot Knight, one of which is the Rotting Riders. Then we have the Knights of the Brazen Throne, Skullcrusher ROR, and a front line of Marauders backed up with 2 Marauder Horse Masters. So pretty efficient stuff. And Lenormand brought Changeling Mazdamundi. Now remember, with the Changeling, you have to bring a fully kitted out version of the Lord. So he has every spell Mazdamundi brings to the table, but he also has Shield the Old Ones. To support them, he has the Sour Guts and Pink Horrors, Chromatic Abomination, and 2 Blue Horrors, and then a front line of Marauders and Chosen with Aesian the Fallen. Mutilith Vortex Beast ROR that he is going to get healing from Apotheosis that Mazdamundi brought for him. So Lenormand probably doing this for Ruination of Cities and Banishment to clear out infantry, and then relying on the Mortis engine of his large monster with some healing to win the late game. Plus, Mazda also has a net, actually, which could be pretty good at stopping any skirmish cavalry or stuff. You know, skirmish cav run up to shoot at Aesian, and then all of a sudden they get netted, and then a bunch of pink horrors hit them. But could be problematic here, as the overload of cavalry is maybe not what Tzeentch was expecting. One net is out on the Rot Knights, but it's not like the Sour Guts are going to honestly punish them that much. This is just kind of stalling. And Tzeentch did not bring much mass at all to stop all of these cavalry pieces. So Blue Horrors are already in trouble, Pink Horrors are already in trouble, and I would honestly say Tzeentch is in a bit of a pickle already. The Changeling is always a bit of a meme because you pay a pretty good tax for being able to switch to anybody you want to in the whole game. So we are getting Toilet Seat Mazda for more money than you'd often see him as. Bound Banishment for Mazda dealing with some Marauders. We still haven't even seen the Marauder Horsemen and Horse Masters move up yet. Looks like they're being saved for the late game. If you get down to a late game grind fight with Aeson, you can just walk them up then and shoot him. So for now, we're relying on these cavalry pieces to take out all the pink and blue horrors that could possibly punish the skirmish cav. And that's fine. I mean, right now, if you got them in range, they'd probably just be able to shoot it like Chosen. I guess now there's an angle where they could get here and shoot at Aeson, but for a while, that wasn't super possible without taking return fire. Another pink horror about to fade away. Chromatic Abomination's about to fade away. We're losing a different blue horror over here. The Sour Guts are still full HP. They're really the only horror that is doing well at the moment. Balance power is 50-50, but I think the Changeling is a artificially large amount of balance power compared to his actual combat prowess, so I would take that with a grain of salt here. I guess we do still have 2 Chosen, though one is already half HP. Knights of the Brazen Throne getting good charges onto them. And this is the ideal target for Knights of the Brazen Throne. They have that insane charge, the murderous charge with their very high stats. It's been a while, but when they first came out, there was just clip after clip after clip of them murdering infantry on the charge. So if we get into a late game where it's just Chosen with halberds versus those guys, their cycle charging could do a lot of work. As long as, of course, you break their charge defense, but that shouldn't be a problem. There's enough Marauders here to make sure those guys are always in melee. They were half health a moment ago. Knights of the Brazen Throne, to be fair, are taking damage as well from these Chosen with halberds, but definitely getting their money's worth out of it. And now the Changeling is under attack by the Rot Knights, sorry, and the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. And still somehow Tzeentch keeps creeping further ahead on the balance of power. I feel like no matter what happens, Tzeentch is getting better on the balance of power, which just is flooring me right now. As Changeling Mazdamundi is getting 100-0, completely murdered, and the balance of power is like, whatever. I'll maybe go back to 50-50 as a nice big comet from Changeling Mazda comes in. So he threw out Ruination of Cities, he threw out Comet, and he threw out the Bolt of Change, all to try and save himself. It didn't even work. He still died, and the Balance of Power still thinks Tzeentch is winning. And I am confused how that could possibly be the case. As the Sour Guts fade away, we have the Searing Doom coming down for the Chosen. The other Chosen are very injured. And the balance of power is still like, I don't know. I think Tzeentch has got it without a Lord or caster. Army ability coming out onto the Rot Knights. They tear out away after taking a bunch of damage. So we still have the Rotting Riders who are slowly regenerating their own health. We have 2 skirmish cabs still in the back, still full ammunition, full HP, which now is the time. There's no threats left to them. Mazda Mundi's not around to cast net on them, nothing like that. So they do need to move up and start using their ammunition on the Mute of the Vortex Beast, or honestly, even the Chosen could be okay. And this is a foot caster, so we do need to remember that the Mute of the Vortex Beast can just run him down no matter what. He can't get away. And I promise you this replay is on this patch. So those guys are definitely not like weird patch game jank and broken. They are AFK for realsies. I don't know why that's happening. You had to play Alfredino the first round. I was substituting in. Our actual Dark Elf player was going to be away from their computer for a couple of months. So they just asked me to play for them quick, and I did. I am not very good as a Dark Elf player, so me playing a faction that isn't my best versus Alfredino on Dwarves, who are maybe the strongest faction in the game, did not go in my favor. Well, that was on last patch. This patch, I don't know. They took some nerfs. Maybe they're not the strongest anymore. I don't have that strong of an opinion yet because I haven't gotten to play too much, unfortunately. All right, yes, the replay is not bugged. The Marauder Horsemen and Horsemasters are now moving up. I do think that keeping them safe from Mazda and all that stuff was fine. I think the tactical reserves was a smart decision, if it was a decision. I do think they were a little slow to showing up after Mazda died, but they're here now, and they honestly could just win the whole game on their own. Real talk. Munith Vortex Beast still harassing this Foot Lord, still just trying to take him out. Lowering the leadership of the Warriors of Chaos could be crucial at this stage to get the Marauders to tear out easier, to get these elite cavalry to rout easier as you slowly drain them down. Because remember, while they're in melee combat with the Munith Vortex Beasts, they are getting drained. But here's the problem. Munith Vortex Beasts are wild animals. They have pretty low leadership, especially when surrounded, and their Lord's already dead. So you can see, despite the fact that it's a Regiment of Renown and it's above half HP, it is seriously considering fleeing. But it is still going after the Sorcerer of Metal. It is still taking him out. And the Chosen of Tzeentch take a shellacking, as it looks like Rot Knights and Knights of Brazen Throne maybe had something to say to them. Munith Vortex Beast below half HP. Chosen falling lower. Terror out in from the Chosen, leaving just the Munith Vortex Beast on the battlefield. And it routs, giving Warriors of Chaos the victory. Thank God those Canadians threw some cans of food into my trench. Y'all talking about World War I crimes. How dare you? So the heavy cavalry did a lot of the work here for Hayseed, especially the Knights of the Brazen Throne, just killing Chosen. Skirmish Cav showed up really late, so they didn't get a lot of value, but he clearly didn't need them that much, as he did eventually win anyway. Aesian the Fallen trying to carry, almost 4,000 value for him, but then the Horrors didn't get too much done. Chosen did fine. Marauder Spears did all right. Changeling Mazda did okay, but didn't pay for himself. And I need to remember exactly how I have to do this without showing you spoilers. So Hayseed and the Warriors of Chaos will advance. Whoa! There we go. I don't know what that little screen was, but it showed up for a moment. So there's that. Now let's go grab Berserk versus Blood Penguin, which I also located during the preamble, so I won't take too long to find it. Just going to delete Hayseed and Lenorm, so I don't have to keep scrolling past it. And here we go. Ogre Kingdoms, Empire. Talon 17, was this a serious tournament? It is the faction war, so yes, people are trying their very hardest. As far as I know, if someone's fucking around, that's their own business, but during the faction war, people usually try as hard as they can. All right, for Berserk and the Ogre Kingdoms, this is the first time I'm seeing them in a competitive setting after their nerfs. Not saying that people are avoiding them in competitive, I'm just saying I haven't seen them. They get banned a lot and stuff still. We have an Eshin Maneater for his debuffs, really good against Empire Knights. Bunch of Noblar Flingers. Then a Noblar front line, some Sabertusk packs, Lead Belchers, Ogre Bulls, Ample Peak Greybacks, Yetis. And then a Butcher of Death with Fate of Buna, Purple Sun, and Aspect of the Dread Knight. That's a lot of spells. And then we have a basic Ogre Paymaster Lord with Gold Glorious Gold for his AoE around him, and then Cash Cascade for a buff from far away. Very interesting Ogre build. On the other side for the Empire, Karl Franz with Gal Maraz, Reichland Runefang, and Stand Your Ground. A couple Demigryph Knights with Halberds, some basic Empire Knights, the Silver Bullets, because Blood Penguin never leaves home without the Silver Bullets. Spearmen and Halberdiers to the gills. Just want as many of those anti-large cheap infantry as you can get. Royal Eldritch Gryphites and some Knights of the Black Rose with a Jade Wizard, Regrowth, and Earthblood. A lot of diverse cavalry. You only took like one of everything. Demigryph Knight Halberd, Demigryph Knight ROR, Knights of Black Rose, Empire Knight. It's weird. Seeing as how Berserk's front line is dog shit, he's just going straight through the front line. You can see he's straight up charging Noblar Flingers and Noblars and just trying to push through rather than go around the flanks with his cavalry, because there's no reason to flank. You have nothing to fear on the front line. Fate of Buna is out, and I believe he has a Maw Shard. Yeah, he popped the Maw Shard when he used Fate of Buna, so it's extra potent. But a counter Regrowth Overcast is going to try and save the Royal Eldritch Gryphites, who are also marked for Eaton right now, but there's not a lot in melee with them to actually get that marked for Eaton. So far, that was a brutal Fate of Buna, and it was excellently cast, great target, but the Regrowth saved most of the models. You can see they have 30 out of 32. So if Blood Penguin can back off with the Royal Eldritch Gryphites and just let them heal up with maybe an Earthblood after this Regrowth is done, they could actually be completely fine. On the other flank, we have other Demigryph Knights eating Sabertusk packs, and now they're getting through Noblar Flingers, but the Ample-Peak Greybacks are out here to play, and these guys are brutal. They're very good melee combatants, and they're sticky with all their slows. They can actually do a lot of work onto many things. For Berserk, his front line of Noblars is gone. We still have a couple Flingers here and there. His Lead Belchers are untouched, however, and his Ogre Bulls are actually still pretty healthy. His Ogre Bulls are pushing back here. And it looks like the Flingers and the Lead Belcher fire took care of a lot of the state troops of the Empire. So now we're having Demigryph Knights and Knights having to just fight Ogre Bulls straight up. There's not a lot of Halberds left, not a lot of Spears left either. Dismember on some Empire Knights to slow them down and deal damage as the Lead Belchers get point-blank shots on them, and Franz is also causing disruption, but the Ogres are ahead on the balance of power by quite a significant margin. If the Empire had infinite time, they could try and slow this down and win with, like, Regrowth spam or something, but the Ogres don't seem to let them do that, as the Ogre Paymaster is actually going to duel Franz. Gal Maraz is popped. Berserk may not want this fight, but he could just be baiting, wasting Franz's time, and then he's going to try and back off with the Ogre Paymaster or something. I'm not super sure, but Franz is actually not doing as well in this duel as I would have thought. With Gal Maraz popped, he's trading about 1-for-1 with this guy as the Lead Belchers turn and try and fire at point-blank range. It looks like we have Sabertusk packs, and the Eshin Maneater maybe going to come back as well, but the Lead Belchers are getting significant damage at point-blank range. Good for them. Franz is down to half HP, losing the duel to the Ogre Paymaster. Ogres do have more support nearby, as the Silver Bullets are still trying to kite away. The Royal Eldritch Gryphites are trying to peel for them, and they're getting some decent damage, but it just seems like too little too late. The Empire is largely attritioned out. The Eshin Maneater joins up with the Paymaster. Cleave through the son of Sigmar himself. Reichland Runefang is down, but Franz is all alone. He's down in a 3v1 against the Butcher and Eshin Maneater and Paymaster, and there's Ogre Bulls all around. Franz is going to rout, and with that, that's probably GG. There's not a lot of damage left here for the Empire. Ample-Peak Greyback still full health. Did they even get much value, or were they just kind of around? Yeah, they got good value. 1,000. Nice. Regrowth onto Franz, just kind of the desperate last gasps of an Empire that is about to die. Speaking of desperate last gasps, I'm definitely feeling it myself, but we will push through for now. Royal Eldritch Gryphites get hit with them marked for Eaton. That should trigger army losses by the time it ends. There we go. GG. Ogres will advance. Almost skipped the air quality rant. Hey, I gotta fill. I know you're behind, so you're gonna catch this later. But Patrick, I gotta fill for time while people gather. I can't just start right away, or I'll start with like 12 people, and then most people will join later and get confused. So you gotta kind of vamp for about 5 minutes and let people gather up. Pretty well put together game by Berserk and the Ogre Kingdoms. Not a ton of value for the Empire anywhere, honestly. That was pretty annoying for Blood Penguin. Slingers did fine. Lead Belchers did well. Ogre Bulls did fine. His build was just super wide for the Ogres. Like, There was no good target to surround with the Royal Dwarfgrifites and kill. Everything is kind of mid. So if you trade with an Ogre Bull, it's like, all right, you got 500 value killing one of my Ogre Bulls. Meanwhile, I'm going to hit you with a Fate of Buna. Meanwhile, my Lead Belchers are going to shoot you. My Flingers are going to throw stones at you. Oh, you disrupted my Lead Belchers? Okay, my Ogre Bulls are going to rear charge you. My Amplepeak Greybacks are going to find you as well. So it was just kind of like a nuisance. There was no single target for the Empire to burst down. Yeah, GG. Back to the blocker before I accidentally spoil who's further along by showing you my replays list. We have one more game from round 1, and then we'll get on to round 2. That game is Olaf the Moose versus Nurgle's PA, Skaven versus Grand Cathay. A matchup I have been struggling in mightily. I feel like if Grand Cathay just takes Celestial Lions with a bunch of Crowmen, it's pretty cursed. Or if they just take 4 Jade Lancers, 4 Peasant Horsemen, and a bunch of Crowmen, it's pretty cursed. If they have Zaytang and a hard box and you aren't ready for that, it's pretty cursed. Xiao Ming is cursed. Everything's cursed. I hate this matchup. I hate it. Nurgle's PA is giving it a shot versus Olaf the Moose. Skaven can melee rush just fine. Maybe. I've had issues with it. For me, Sego's and I talked about this because we had a Grand Cathay versus Skaven game in a different tournament. But his Jade Lancers straight up beat my Doom Flayers. And I was pretty mad about that. So we were talking about it a bit. It feels weird. Depends on who you talk to, who's favorite here. Because for me, my problem is like a lot of people say just spam Doom Flayers, and then I'll have Doom Flayers 1v1 Jade Lancers, and the Jade Lancers win. And then some Grand Cathay players are like, no, they don't. And then we jumped in, and I had skirmish. We just did, you know, like I just had 4 Doom Flayers. The other player had 4 Jade Lancers. We ran them into each other. The Jade Lancers pushed all 4 Doom Flayers away, and I was like, yeah, that's how that generally goes. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes here. We have Wolf Rats, Rat Ogres, and Eshin Triads on the flanks. A couple Skaven Slave Slingers, but those are pretty whatever. This is mostly a melee rush. Rat Ogres, Doom Flayers on the front line, a bunch of Skaven Slaves. And the other side, the Dwarf Thing Menace. Warlock Engineer with Cleansing Ruin. Gracier of Plague with just the dreaded 13th summon for his only actual spell. A Packmaster, and then more dogs and Rat Ogres and stuff. Welcome back. What up, Misfit? Matchup is pretty even, very fun. I really don't think it's fun. I think it's cheesy as shit, and I hate it. I hate just playing build roulette and guess, because if I guess wrong, then I just lose. It fucking sucks. But that's just my opinion on it. All right, on the other side, we have a Celestial Lion. We have a Jet Lion, Jade Lancers, Peasant Horseman, Onyx Crowman, Xiao Ming, who is the best lord in this matchup by far, and then 2 Crane Gunners. I'm worried about the Crane Gunners and the Jet Lion. I think those are pretty easy for Skaven to disrupt. I think Iron Hail Gunners are generally better. They wreck Doom Flayers pretty bad. They kill the Greyseer and any of your single entities. And the Jet Lion just kind of feels bad. I know it's gotten buffed several times, but it still doesn't do very much. It's a non-terror causing single entity monster that's pretty expensive just to provide the Harmony buff when you can already have Crowman provide the Harmony buff. I don't know. We'll see if it does damage. It has been buffed, but I generally think it's not that good. I don't know. I've never been scared of Jet Lions, so maybe I'm wrong, but as Skaven, I can generally just ignore them and deal with them in the late game. They're not that bad. I had an infamous game where Deathmaster Snikch ended up in a late game versus 2 Jet Lions. It was on stream, and he killed both of them in a 1v2. Like, just a flat-out melee. He killed both of them, and it was hilarious. All right, Skaven Slave frontline getting run down. Not surprising at all. The Skaven spent almost no money on their front line, so them getting murdered isn't a big deal. All of their money is on each flank. So up here we have a ton of heroes and monsters, and then the other flank we have some monsters and Doom Flayers, but no heroes. So this is the really big Skaven flank. Peasant Horsemen taking a downhill charge on Wolf Rats. Wolf Rats get onto the Crane Gunners. Here we go. Peasant Long Spears fighting next to Cromans. They get that Harmony buff, and they are tearing the Rat Ogres a new one. Rear charge in from the Dwarf Thing Menace will get good damage on the Croman, but already those Rat Ogres are doomed. Wolf Rats get rid of the Crane Gunners with a bit of terror support from our friend the Packmaster. And on the other side, we have Jade Lancers getting caught by Wolf Rats. It looks like they didn't get a charge in, seeing as though the Wolf Rats aren't damaged. So, fortunately, some of the Jade Lancers getting caught. And we have some Onyx Croman asleep at the wheel, too. They got to get moving. They have to get rear charges in on these dogs to scare them off. The Celestial Lion also not moving. Grand Cathay, you gotta move! You gotta book! All right, Dreaded 13th Summon is out onto a giant blob of Jade Lancers and Peasant Long Spears. Zhao Ming's trying to get the good dueling in. Grayseer is supporting, and we have a Jet Lion running around. Celestial Lion has dove in over here. And with a rear charge in from the Onyx Croman, there's the terror out onto the dogs. The Jade Lancers did take a lot of damage while waiting for that. Crane Gunners did manage to get to safety for a brief moment. They're firing up and over at the Grayseer, trying to go for a Lord Snipe, as they know their time is limited. They're under attack by Slingers, and there's a billion Skaven around, so they'll be just fine. Celestial Lion still causing a bunch of terror. Onyx Croman doing decent, but with Eshin Triads and fresh Rat Ogres coming in, and Doomflayers already here, the Celestial Lion's probably not going to get too much done. Crane Gunners still firing up and over. They are getting decent damage onto the Grayseer, and I think that's smart from Grand Cathay. They're trying to just take out the Grayseer and terror out the rest of the Skaven army with the Zhao Ming and all of the terror from the Celestial Lion and whatnot, because their battle lines are already a little bit broken. Jet Lion is harassing the Grayseer, proving to be a little annoying to peel away, getting decent value off of that guy. And Zhao Ming's just trying to get away from the Packmaster. He was fighting on top of the Storm Vermin Halberd summon, which is not going well for him. But Zhao Ming is also a strangely terrible melee combatant. His stats wouldn't show it, but there's a lot of times where he just kind of fails. Like, he gets into a melee fight, you think he'd win, you look away, and 5 seconds later, he's, like, dead. Celestial Lion still trying to run around, terror out stuff. Onyx Croman end up in a fight with Rat Ogres and Doomflayers. I'm wondering if they were chasing something off and then got caught on the ground by those guys. Grayseer is not quite dead yet, and Zhao Ming is thinking about diving in after him as the Jet Lion gets surrounded by single entities, and yeah, now he's kind of just stuck. There's too many Doomflayers, too many Rat Ogres. And there goes another Dreaded 13th Summon, taking out some more Cav. Zhao Ming is desperately trying to kill that Grayseer. We still have a healthy Celestial Lion, which is a nice amount of terror to have in the late game, because he also has that Roar. Fearsome Roar, -8 leadership. So Grand Cathay is just trying to withstand the last Storm Vermin summon. They're trying to get the last hits on the Grayseer, and Zhao Ming is the one going for it, but you can see kind of that jank I was talking about, where it's like you're a giant flying dragon, yet you're barely getting through these Storm Vermin. Grayseer terror routes. And he is dead. Very good snipe for Zhao Ming. He desperately needed that. So, Storm Vermin summon will go away. Leadership for the Skaven falls apart. We can see Skaven Slaves starting to rout in the distance, but we still have a lot of healthy Doomflayers, and that could be a problem. Doomflayers have some pretty meaty leaderships. They're not going to run at the drop of a hat like a lot of other Skaven would. Zhao Ming is trying to get his heal. He's trying to stay in Dragon form, get that nice, where are you, the scales. Big heal, 40% damage resistance, but I'm worried Grand Cathay is out of damage. Because you have the terror pieces and whatnot, but I've mentioned 3 or 4 times that Zhao Ming does not do as much damage as you would think he does, so he's not really a reliable damage in the late game. We have Crane Gunners and Spears and Jade Lancers, but they're very far away from where the action is going on, so I do think Grand Cathay has to fall back. Zhao Ming, I feel like he was in the air and then he landed over here. I wonder if he was just trying to proc his heal, which now is procced, but that felt a little unnecessary, especially because all this damage is off in the distance. Like, we have to regroup with our Crane Gunners. We have to regroup with our Peasant Long Spears. Like, this fight needs to happen on top of Peasant Long Spears. Actually, that is pretty insane. A full health Peasant Long Spear versus just Rat Ogres and Doomflayers in the late game could be pretty nuts. Zhao Ming's getting hit with a Flensing Ruin. He's still trying to get away, but he's getting poked in the back by the Packmaster and all these guys. Celestial Lion doesn't know what to do. Peasant Long Spears don't know what to do. And in the distance, Crane Gunners getting suicide dove by the Triads, who do manage to get them to rout one more time, but they'll rally. They'll be fine. Yeah, Zhao Ming and the boys are just taking these fights so far from home, and now this one had to happen, right? The Celestial Lion had to do something. Zhao Ming's just taking too much damage, but whatever caused him to land up on this hillside was a critical mistake that might cost Grand Cathay the game, because since then he hasn't been able to get off the ground. The Packmaster's just rear charging him over and over again. Celestial Lion's now down on the ground, and I don't know. This looks doomed from Grand Cathay at this point. There's just too much that's gone wrong for them. Zhao might get one nice breath attack up these Eshin Triads over here, but I don't think that's going to be enough to turn this around. Bounce power is pretty darn bad, and understandably so. Crane Gunners shattered randomly of their own volition too, which is just insult to injury on an already bad situation. Because if the Crane Gunners hadn't randomly shattered over there, it's like they could poke at the Doom Flayers on the way in. And then you could take a late game fight with 2 terror-causing monsters on top of spears getting rear charged by Jade Lancers, and that could be a lot, but I don't know. They just don't have the damage now. You didn't mention Dreaded 13th in the spell tier video? Oh, it's probably true. It probably wasn't on the spell tier list. I got it off tier maker, I didn't make it myself. Breath attack in from Zhao Ming clears out the Eshin Triads immediately, and now this is exactly what we wanted. Look at this big late game fight right on top of the Peasant Long Spears. Look at this, Packmaster's almost routing at full HP because they love to route at full HP, but I worry Grand Cathay's just taking too much damage to take this fight at this point. Like, if Zhao Ming was, you know, he used to be 3/4 health, now he's 1/4 health, right? So you could have way healthier Zhao Ming. Crane Gunners could have harassed these guys a bit, but even so, it is going exactly how Grand Cathay would have wanted. They just wanted more health to do it with, but like, look at how terrible this is in the late game for this Skaven. We're about to get a tear out on the Peasant Long Spears. We're about to get another Flensing Rune onto Zhao Ming, but still, like, Doomflayer got murdered, Rat Ogre got murdered, Eshin Triad got murdered, and another Rat Ogre's running. So this is the late game Grand Cathay has that the Skaven just can't deal with, but he was too damaged. Whatever happened on that hillside, why ever he was forced to land or whatever, just all that damage. Like, look at this, look at this. If he was just a little bit healthier, he could definitely grind this shit out as all the Skaven were routing. Now the Skaven are coming back, army losses is gonna hit. But yeah, that's the shit I can't deal with in the late game, is like Zhao and the Celestial Lion just bombing me after I lose my lord. GG overall. Pretty close game. Just a couple things hurt, but I do not stand the Jet Lion. This is the first game I've seen it since it got buffs. Fair. I don't have a large sample size since it got buffs, but in general, that unit before the buffs, there was a lot wrong with it, so I don't think some minor damage buffs will fix what I didn't like about it. I think the Celestial Lion's just better in every way. And the Celestial Lion was doing great work here. I just don't think the Jet Lion does as much. Honestly, I would cut it for 2 Crowmen. Crowmen are so hard for Skaven to deal with. And the thing is, like, I know you're all thinking of instances where you're like, well, I had like 7 Eshin Night Runners underneath a Crowman and it killed it. And it's like, yeah, but if your opponent has 4 Crowmen and 4 Jade Lancers sprinting at you from all sides, you can't peel everything. So it's definitely like massive bodies. And we did get to see the Crowman do exactly what the Crowman do. There was that one fight where the Jade Lancer got caught by dogs and a Rat Ogre and a Doomflayer, right? And then we had the Celestial Lion sitting over it and the Crowman behind it. And then when they eventually came in, the Crowman got the rear charge in. They apply the Harmony buff to the Jade Lancer. So you don't need the Jet Lion to do that. So you get a rear charge, which is great for the Crowman's damage. The rear charge is bad for the Skaven's leadership, and you get the bonus stats for the Jade Lancers to keep them in the fight. And that combined is really nasty on the flanks against the Skaven. And then if you add in the Celestial Lion that dove in and terror outed everybody, we saw a 1/2 to 2/3 health Rat Ogre running. The Wolf Rats routed at 1/2 HP, but that's pretty usual for them. And then you could have the Jade Lancers and Crowman and the Celestial Lion all versus the Doomflayer, just take it out. We saw a bit of that, but if you have 2 Celestial Lions, you can have 1 on each flank, or if you have 4 Crowmans, you can do that hammer and anvil strategy in multiple places. I tend to like that more than just a Jet Lion, and that's coming from the Skaven player. Like, when I see a Jet Lion, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, it's not so bad that I auto win the game. I'm just like, I'm way more scared of the Celestial Lion than the Jet Lion. I'm way more scared of Crowman spam than the Jet Lion. I just don't think it contributes a ton. Wait. All right, Blacka. So that was all the round 1 games, which we cast in a different part 1 before the patch, and now this is after the patch. So now that we are all things even Steven, we will just go from, we'll start on the top right because we cast a bunch of games on the left already. So let's go top right to bottom left. We'll go with Prime versus Alfredino. Where was the game I just cast? There you are. I will delete you. Okay. Dwarves Grand Cathay. Senfishy versus Alfredino. Alfredino, currently the best player in the entire world, playing dwarves after they got nerfed. So I don't know if the dwarves are the best faction right now, but they were one of the best factions before getting nerfed, and I don't know if the nerfs were enough to take them out of being the best faction. So this is an uphill climb for Senfishy, who has been playing in some of our new player tournaments. If he wins, it would be surely an upset. For him, he has Chaos Dwarf and Infernal Guard with great weapons, some of that armor piercing on his elite Chaos Dwarves. Then we have Infernal Ironsworn and Blazing Beards of Bosrock. We have Drazoeth and a Castellan. And he brought only Flames of Asgore. So he's just relying on heavy infantry with armor piercing to kill the dwarves. On the dwarven side, we have Thoric Ironbrow. After losing his Rune of Hearth and Home, he's just taking his Slow and Rune of Wrath and Ruin. We have double Dragon Slayer. And then we have Miners with Blasting Charges, Doom Seekers, Dragonback Slayers, and some Gyrocopters. The Chaos Dwarves are entirely at the mercy of these Gyrocopters. The only range unit they have is the Infernal Castellan. The Blasting Charges can't throw at the sky, so the Gyrocopters can just shoot for free, and we can see the disgusting damage they're doing to the Infernal Ironsworn right now. They've already taken a third to a quarter of those guys' HP with a couple volleys. And they have a lot of ammo left to go. Gyros line up for a bombing run, and those Infernal Ironsworn are already at half HP. So the Chaos Dwarves, now they're not helpless to this kind of thing. They could have had blunderbusses, they could have had Infernal Guard with Fire Glaives. I acknowledge all that. As we have Doom Seekers shredding these Infernal Guard with great weapons. I'm generally a Doom Seekers hater, but if there is a situation where they're going to do well, it's against the Infernal Guard. Infernal Guard's lackluster melee attack with their significant armor piercing, neither of those matter versus the Doom Seekers, so that's pretty bad. One of the Infernal Ironsworn is almost dead from the Gyrocopters. Meanwhile, other Doom Seekers take a fight with more Chaos Dwarf Warriors and Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits. This is a bad engagement for the Doom Seekers, and Alfredino realizes it, needing to run away. Fighting cheap stuff is not what the Doom Seekers can do. They really need to fight things more elite than themselves. Drazoeth is in a bad 3v1. He's going to probably need to back off as we get some blasting charges in onto the Dragonback Slayers, but they actually dodge it. Very nice dodge there from Alfredino, so it doesn't take that much damage, while the Gyrocopters continue to go absolutely nuts on these Infernal Ironsworn in the background. Other Infernal Guard doing their best. Balance of power is 50-50 right now as the Ekron's Miners are throwing blasting charges at the Dragon Slayer, who is not having a good time. To be fair, the Dragon Slayers are both significantly damaged already from fighting apparently the Blazing Beards and Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Blasting charges out onto Infernal Guard. That's not going to do very much damage, however. Fire damage is resisted by Chaos Dwarves, and they have significantly high armor. But wait a second. You have high armor, high HP, and fire resistance, and you still took that much damage from blasting charges? That's crazy. It's only 140 value, so maybe it just looked worse than it was, but it still feels like they should do almost no damage, and they did okay. All right. Momentary rage there, but it's subsiding. The second volley wasn't nearly as much, so it's okay. It's whatever. It's okay. Doom Seekers in the background getting caught by those Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits. Looks like they can't outrun the Sneaky Gits. Blazing Beards of Bosrock stuck fighting the Ekron's Miners, and the double Dragon Slayers are eventually putting in work, but these Blazing Beards are doing very well. High melee attack and weapon strength versus the non-armored Dragon Slayers. They don't need armor piercing, so it's just high stats. Rear charge in from the Gyrocopters, trying to use them as giant flying metal dogs. They are trying to just break the last of leadership in the Blazing Beards, but the Blazing Beards do not give in, so the Gyrocopters will fall back once again. Where's the other one? That one's fine, and the Infernal Castellan has been shooting at them this whole time. Now he's trying to shoot at the heroes, but he can't see them. But still, the Gyros have 11 and 12 models out of 12. They're doing just fine. Drazoeth is now abandoned by the Blazing Beards. Dwarves have taken a significant lead on the balance of power. And Friendly Fire is going absolutely nuts from the Gyrocopters. Infernal Ironsworn also getting good blasting charges on the Ekron's Miners. And now the Ekron's Miners just have to clear out. The Dwarves just want Thoric and the two Dragon Slayers to finish off Drazoeth. They want all their other insignificant Dwarves out of the way, so they don't have to push past each other to get damage out. Gyrocopters still firing away, and now the Dragonback Slayers have cost the Infernal Castellan. He's not getting away. Dragonback Slayers have a slow to them, so the Infernal Castellan is down to 19 speed versus their 40. He is stuck in those elite Slayers. Drazoeth is going to rout any day now. He has been putting up exceptionally good performance versus double Dragon Slayer. I'll give him that, but he does eventually fall. And now these Chaos Dwarf Warriors are surrounding the Hero Hammer of the Dwarves, but it's probably too little too late. They'll probably kill the super wounded Dragon Slayer. They might even kill Thoric and the other one, but I don't think that saves this game. You have two uncontested Gyrocopters in the sky who still have significant ammo. Like, that one is 10, the other one is 5. That's plenty. You have Dragonback Slayers, which something horrible happened to them. Was it Flames of Asgore on the way out? I wasn't looking, but they died. These guys were literally full HP when we last saw them, and they are dead. So I'm guessing it's got to be a Flames of Asgore just took them out while neither Alfredino or I was looking, apparently. So that's pretty hilarious. One of the Dragon Slayers does die, but the Chaos Warriors are going to rout any second now. Ooh, that's a healthy Doomseeker, and there's no Flames of Asgore to save you this time. You'll have to kill them in melee somehow. Blazing Beard's Bow's Rock actually going to use the last of their blasting charges, but army losses takes them out before they can do so. GG's. Celestial Lion's damage is just okay too. Leadership Bomb is good. Yeah, Tequila, it's definitely just about the Leadership Bomb. That's talking about Grand Cathay versus Skaven. I don't think the Celestial Lion is that good at like murdering anything, but you purely use it for that like late game situation that Olaf found himself in, where when it dove in with Zhao Ming versus all those guys in the Peasant Long Spears, it was just like everything the Skaven had tear routed. Like the Packmaster was at nearly full HP and he was routing, which is something the Celestial Lion can do. So it's pretty spooky. Is this a rule break from Dowie? No. Double Dragon Slayer is illegal in Vermin League, but so here's a key difference. For the people that really care, for the people that don't care, I'll be quick. When this faction war started, we hadn't had a patch in like 4 or 5 months, right? The meta had been the exact same. So on Vermin League, we had some very aggressive unit bans to try and make people play more fun things and try and enhance the experience on the ladder for players. But when I started the faction war, I asked the players in the faction war if they wanted a competitive faction war or if they wanted to use the unit limits that were on Vermin League. The players overwhelmingly voted for a competitive one. So the unit caps we used was just banning broken stuff. I think the Thunder Tusk is still banned. The Thunder Barge is banned, and I think the Land Ship is banned. But those are also banned in Fruit Rules. I don't think the Thunder Tusk is in Fruit Rules, but anyway, 2 of those are banned in Fruit Rules. So we took out a lot of the limitations that we have on Vermin League. So Double Dragon Slayer was allowed. I think Wrathmongers are unlimited here. I think other things like, so no, the Vermin League player rules were different than the faction war because I asked the players of the faction war and they wanted to try hard. So yes, these were allowed because the players voted for it. I had a vote too. I voted for the unit limits. So I got outvoted, but then we got a big, juicy, very impactful patch in the middle of the faction war, and it didn't matter as much. I was a little scared if we had to run the whole faction war on the last patch, if I was just going to be like, oh God, what do I do? I have to cast the same broken units the same all the time, but the patch was pretty significant, so I think it ended up being fine. Gyrocopters both got pretty good value, but as much as I'd love to shit on gyrocopters and just say like OP, please nerf, to be fair, the Chaos Dwarves didn't bring any of their armor-piercing missiles that could have dissuaded them, so like, yeah, of course gyrocopters are going to do well here. That's fair. So Dwarves advance. It was not a blowout, though, so I think Prime should be proud of that. Playing in our new player tournaments, going to fight the most elite player in the world on Dwarves, and not getting blown out is probably the goal you could set for yourself. I mean, he kicked my ass. I'm not trying to be a dick here. All right. Next up, Nurgle Kislev. Kukinko versus Pasha. Now, I know Kukinko was pretty mad because Kukinko played Nurgle in our Legendary Lords tournament, and he picked Kugath Plaguefather. But when your opponent knows you're bringing Kugath Plaguefather, it is very easy to build against him. So Kukinko got knocked out of the Legendary Lords tournament pretty fast. And I know he was itching for some vengeance in a format where he could take Nurgle, but didn't have to tell his opponent exactly what Lord he was taking. All right. For the Nurgle build of Kukinko, we have Pestigors, Nurglings, Marauders, more Nurglings, and the Frolickers Bubonic. On the other, not on the other side. Besides infantry, we have Chaos Knights. Looks like 3 Chaos Knights of Nurgle, the Angels of Decay, Death's Heads, and then a Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle with just Fleshy Abundance. On the other side for Kislev, 3 Skirmish Cav, Horse Archers. Double Frostworm, one of which is holding an Ice Witch of Tempest with Hawks of Mishka and a Guardian's Call. Kislevite Warriors and Armored Kossars make up the front line, and we have Things in the Woods, Mordheim Beowulf's edition with their reduced healing, 100% reduced healing, and the Griffin Legion. We do have a Patriarch for his own heal, so it looks like Kislev is going to try and melee grind out with 2 Frostworms and some healing versus Nurgle, with a little bit of Skirmish Cav. For Nurgle, it's a wide infantry rush with a bit of cavalry. I mildly worry about their single entity damage, but I know Frostworms will not enjoy just sitting in Pestigors or Marauders in the late game, but I don't know. I'm a little worried about 3 Chaos Knights trying to kill single entities. It could happen, it's not like, oh yeah, for sure, guaranteed that Chaos Knights can kill those guys, easy. Pestigors get charged by the Griffin Legion. On the charge, Griffin Legion do great. We'll see if they stay there too long. That'll be a problem as the Hawks of Mishka come in on top of clumped up Nurglings and Pestigors. And that leadership debuff from it is going to be very impactful, especially on those demonic units, but it looks like they're not damaged enough yet to start crumbling. And meanwhile, the Chaos Sorcerer Lord plus the Death's Heads got some good damage on the Ice Witch. Already took a quarter of her HP out in a really big chunk. So very good start for Nurgle there overall. Angels of Decay under attack by these Armored Kossars pistols, however. They'll want to back off, maybe get a Fleshy Abundance as a Skirmish Cav continue to harass them. Other Frostworm is doing better than the Frost Witch was on hers. It's not taking nearly as much damage, and it is ripping apart some Nurglings and also getting good damage out onto the Chaos Knights. But again, the Sorcerer Lord of Nurgle not going to let her sleep, keeping that Ice Witch of Tempest away from the front line so she can't just cycle charge through it. He's going to make her pay for every inch she gets. Griffin Legion plus the Ice Witch charging Chaos Knights of Nurgle. Now, these guys are pretty tanky. 55 melee defense on cavalry is nothing to scoff at, especially with armor-piercing Pestigors nearby to support you. And we'll see if they get healing or if the Angels of Decay get healing. Someone is going to get healing as those Death's Heads continue to poke down the Ice Witch of Tempest. Now, Kislev has healing in their disposal, not disposable, but it is attached to a Foot Patriarch. A Foot Patriarch. So the Frostworms have to go to him to get that healing. There's no shot he gets over here. Chaos Knights of Nurgle do get terror routed away, and now this is a scary situation for the Lord of Nurgle himself. He's fighting a Frostworm and a Snow Leopard, both of which are anti-large and armor-piercing. But the advantage he has is as long as he doesn't die, he can bait with his HP pool. He has a pretty high HP pool for being a Chaos Lord, pretty good leadership and stuff, but he also has the slow, constant healing from the Crown of Everlasting Conquest. So he is happy to take every HP trade with the Ice Witch all day long because she can't heal it back, he can. Angels of Decay trying to get extra damage out, and you can see she's trying to get over to the Patriarch. Like we said before, there is healing, but she's got to go to him. The Patriarch really can't get here in time, but now that the Chaos Knights have gone to peel, he can finally move, and he is waddling towards her to get that heal off on the Ice Witch. Another Hawks of Mishka in the background. It does not do friendly fire, so the Griffin Legion are perfectly safe to sit in this, while the Pestigors are not. They're going to terror out from that leadership debuff. Minus 16 Discourage is brutal. Silix Lullaby did get the heal on the Ice Witch that Kislev needed. The frontline fight is going fine for Nurgle, and actually a bit of a disaster for Kislev is the Mordheim Beowulfs got stuck just fighting Frolickers Bubonic, and that's not a fight they want to be taking at all. Mordheim Beowulfs now harassing the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, and that Dark Blood taint is really bad. He's relying on his constant heal so that he can take these trades, but as long as those guys are on top of him, he gets no healing. And a big mistake from Nurgle, pops a Fecundity right on top of the Mordheim Beowulf, so everybody here is affected by the Dark Blood thing. No one's getting that healing. Finally, a Chaos Knight comes into the fray, and the Angels of Decay are, of course, in the sky, so they got the healing, but the Frolickers and the Chaos Sorcerer Lord themselves got nothing from that Fecundity, so it was a little underwhelming. Pestigors get a free slow on the Ice Witch of Tempest because someone near them started to rout at the same time, and these Angels of Decay are just a massive problem. As Kislev has not been able to have their 3 Horse Archers sit directly underneath these guys and fire straight up, they've been pushed around by Nurgle, and that just means the Angels of Decay have been following this Ice Witch, constantly harassing her. As we get a Fleshy Abundance onto the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Nurgle, he's... I don't know about that. I don't think he needed that heal. I think the Angels of Decay could have used it, the Chaos Knights could have used it more than him, but I guess he was just really worried about his Lord dying in that instance, but I don't think that was something he had to be afraid of. Nurgle's overall in a really good position, though. I don't want to focus too much on one, I think, mistake of a Fleshy Abundance cast. The Frost Worm's going to rout pretty soon. It is just a feral monster, and without its lord nearby, it does fall apart on leadership. Everybody for Kislev is starting to rout. We have a full health Patriarch, but he's a pathetic melee combatant, and I don't know where the Griffin Legion are. I'm assuming they've been attritioned out by Chaos Knight grinding. Yeah, they're way over here, and they're very close to dead. So there's not a lot of healing left for Kislev. The Patriarch just has one use of Selex's Lullaby left, and the Griffin Legion only have 18 models anyway. So can 3 Kislevite Horse Archers and a foot Patriarch kill all this stuff? Probably not. Frostworm could do some serious damage, though. And the fact that it's getting away, the Kislevite Archers tried to sacrifice themselves to buy its space to get away. It looks like it will come back, but the Angels of Decay are running after it. I just wonder if their range is too far? No. Okay, they're going to get in range. They're fine. I was worried that if they were shooting at it, they'd be out of range to keep it routing. But getting the Frostworm off the battlefield is probably the death knell for this game. Probably. Because the Patriarch's going to rout soon. And then the Death's Heads are still here, still doing good work. Nurgle has healing into the late game, which after the Patriarch routes, Kislev will not. Kislev doesn't have leadership or casting. So if Nurgle really slows this game down, they could get 2 more Fleshy Abundance out. One onto the Angels of Decay, one onto, I don't know. Honestly, this Pestigore could use it. Because the Chaos Knights have lost too many models, so I honestly don't think they're good Fleshy Abundance candidates anymore. But you wait out the Kislevite Archer, ammunition, and then in a late game melee grind, the Angels of Decay, the Lord, and whatever you decide to heal with that other Fleshy Abundance should be fine. The Patriarch's not dying as fast as Nurgle would like, however. That is proving problematic. The Angels of Decay, spending a lot of ammunition on a foot character, they're having a hard time hitting him. I don't think they can hit them very well from an angle. I think they have to be directly over, so I kind of want to see them shift their shots onto some of those multi-entity models they're proving problematic, like the Griffin Legion, like this healthy armored Kossar or something. Because there we go, the Patriarch's finally routing, so the Chaos Sorcerer Lord can just chase him around and be fine. Sorcerer Lord is nearly heal capped. Oh man, it's looking good for Nurgle. I don't want to curse them or anything, but if they lose this, they're going to be kicking themselves for using that Fleshy Abundance on their self-healing Lord when they had other units that clearly need it as well. Like, this is a good Fleshy Abundance. I'm not criticizing this, but pretend this Fleshy Abundance happened earlier. Honestly, this 100 model Pestigore, if they got a Fleshy Abundance, that would be clutch. That would be huge, giving these guys a big buff so they can fight the armored Kossars. Because I am getting a little worried the armored Kossars could clear the rest of this. Because then in the late game, if you have to fight on top of armored Kossars and you're getting cycle charged by Kislevite Horse Archers, you're getting army lost? Okay, okay, calm the fuck down. This is not an army losses situation against Kislev. Whatever, I'm done. Fuck this game, I'm not casting anymore. What? Okay, was Nurgle advantaged? Yes, I'm not an idiot. I'm not on drugs saying Nurgle was down. But was Kislev out of that? No. Whatever. Okay. No, it's fine. Desire Drive. ROR's having one-off abilities that change everything is good to unit design, isn't it? I can't tell if you're being sarcastic, but I actually do like it. I do think it makes Regiments for Now more unique than just some of the Regiments for Now that are just like, this is the same unit, but it has like slightly more stats. I find those are generally pretty underwhelming. But Regiments for Now that bring really cool mechanics are super awesome, in my opinion. Like the Shield of Chakwa Lizardmen that can give 40% AoE missile resistance instead of just having increased stats is pretty cool. Council Guard being unbreakable and having Guardian, that's okay. It's not like insane, but then I think of like, I'm trying to think of some of the generic ones. Sigmar's Sons, right? Sigmar's Sons are pretty underwhelming as a regiment of renown. Oh, we're unbreakable. Okay. The Winterheart Guard are unbreakable. It doesn't mean they're bad. I just think they're less exciting. Like, no one is saying that the Winterheart Guard or Sigmar's Sons are bad units. It's like, I just think it's pretty cool to have unique, super fun mechanics. The Tattered Souls, okay. They just have higher HP. Whatever. Smoking that good Canadian wood. Sorry, I was just reading chat for a bit. That's I still think that army losses was early. Do I think Kukinko wins more often than not in that situation? Of course I do, but I think that was too soon. Whatever. Whatever, bro. Good value on a lot of units, actually. Pretty good spread value for both armies, too. Mordheim and Beowulfs didn't get that much value. They unfortunately just got stuck in a fight with the Frolickers for too long. I didn't see why they got in that fight, but I'm guessing there was a reason to it. They were probably jumping in. I thought I saw Chaos Knights were just surrounding the Patriarch, making sure he couldn't move. So I wonder if the Mordheim Beowulfs jumped in there to try and peel those guys so the Patriarch could get freed up to go help the Frostworms and get some healing. Could have been, but I tabbed over when they were just very damaged from fighting the Frolickers, so... Can't tell you why they got there, just can tell you that it didn't end well. Nurgle goes to fight the dwarves. Let's do this. As I go to find the next replay. Empire versus Chaos Dwarves. These are a different Empire and a different Chaos Dwarves than we've seen so far. This is Sego's Empire versus Archangel's Chaos Dwarves. Ooh, Hammer of the Witches. That's a really good one versus Iron Demons and all of the Chaos Dwarf Chariots. It's actually going to be really cringe for Archangel if he can't shut it down quickly. I think the Swamp Things are pretty cool twist on Trolls. Makes them pretty unique. Terror-causing Trolls. Yeah, the Swamp Things are alright. For Sego's Empire, we have Empire Knights and Outriders in the front line. More Outriders in the back. So 4 and 4, Empire Knights and Outriders. Marcus Wolfheart with his net and his amber bow. And then we have an engineer with his restock and mercurial shot. Then we have a light wizard with just Shem's burning gaze. So no double net here, don't worry. Backline of spearmen and the Hammer of the Witches. The Hammer of the Witches is already teeing off on the Iron Demon. For the Chaos Dwarves, we have Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders, not the bow one, the spears. Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits. We have a basic Iron Demon, Orc Laborers, Hobgoblin Archers, Sneaky Gits, Fire Glaives. We do have a Sorcerer Prophet on foot with Glimmering Robe and Plague of Rust, interestingly enough. Searing Doom's more typical, but the Glimmering Robe is a little interesting. And that's about it. So it's kind of a mixed forces push from the Chaos Dwarves, but as we said, I mean, the Iron Demon is getting cooked by this cannon. In general, Chaos Dwarf single entities of the machine variety do not like dealing with straight shot armor piercing artillery, whether it's bolt throwers or cannons or carronades or anything like that. Now their bulls can deal with it better, but the metal ones really can't. Empire Knights get Plague of Rust overcasted, trying to make them a little weaker to these archers firing in. The Infernal Guard Fireglaves also shooting, but it did not help the Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders deal with them at all, and now Chaos Dwarves and Orc Laborers are closing in. The Empire Knights swiftly run away. Not much of a problem for them there. The Empire is built almost exclusively to snipe out single targets here. They're going to do really good at that. I do wonder if we get to the late game, if all these infantry of the Chaos Dwarves getting up here and shutting down the Hammer of the Witches, harassing Marcus Wolfheart and stuff could be meaningful, but I guess then you have 4 Outriders that can kite them ad nauseum too. There goes the Iron Demon, the last of its health, 160 HP as it's trying to charge into Outriders, but they're just going to outrun it, and the Engineer finishes it off with a coup de grace. Overcasted Searing Doom onto the Hammer of the Witch's crew. It does have physical resistance, not spell resistance, so it didn't save it for much of that Searing Doom, but they did hold on for now. Their elite Regiment of Renown stats keeping them in it. They don't have, unfortunately, any great targets left now that the Iron Demon is dead, so Sego just puts them on the Infernal Guard Fireglaves. They get a little bit of damage out while they can, but they've served their purpose. They killed the Iron Demon. Didn't get that much damage value, actually, either. Damn. Rip in peace, my cannons. I've said it a million times, but I'm an artillery lover. It's my favorite unit type in the whole game, and artillery is not having a heyday. The best artillery in the game are not terrible, and the worst artillery in the game are terrible. There's very little artillery that's, like, great. So the Hammer of the Witches is firing into these infantry, getting a little bit of poke, but its days are numbered, as a whole lot of infantry are coming for it, and actually a second Searing Doom Overcast is probably going to seal its fate anyway, because the crew is taking a lot of damage too, so they're probably going to dismount and lose a bunch of HP. Yeah, big chunks, so the actual crew only had 300 HP left. But is that enough for the Chaos Dwarves to win? Bounce power is 50-50. This is getting a little risky here. We have some Empire Knights going to go run down Hobgoblin Archers. Outriders are finishing off Infernal Guard, but they're not able to get those guys to actually break, and now they have to retreat under the watchful fire of these Infernal Guard. And Engineer's going to try and finish them off. If their leadership doesn't falter, they are hybrid halberd units and could whoop this guy's ass, but their leadership is super low right now, so they might just rout. And under another volley of Outrider fire, they might just be donezo. Wolfheart's safe and sound up on a high hill. He is going to try and get around the Chaos Dwarves because he's getting pushed constantly back towards this corner. He needs to find a way to get around it so he can kite, because Sego's has a ton of kite and a ton of mobility. His only problem is if he ends up bound in by the terrain. So Wolfheart needs to keep moving. His Outriders also need to break out, and they need to reset so they can keep kiting off in the open space, as he's also throwing out Shem's Burning Gaze on cooldown. Now this is Conquest mode. So the Chaos Dwarves, if they had the time and the foresight, they could have taken the point and then forced the Empire to be on a bit of a timer. But currently, Sego's has literally infinite time to kite around, to cast spells, to shoot with Marcus Wolfheart, do whatever he wants, right? There's no... I mean, Sego's has already been obeying the attacking rules, but let's say we get into a hyper late game situation, he could run away with all of his Outriders. He doesn't have to attack with anyone anywhere because we're not playing land battles. But so far, even if we were playing land battles, so far he's been attacking somewhere at all times, so it doesn't really matter. Engineer's firing. And Sego's priority is to take out anything with a ranged attack, because he can go all day right now. He can go all day. Another Overcast is Searing Doom. Those Overcasts have almost killed the Sorcerer Prophet of Metal entirely on their own, but he did catch the Empire Knight snapping, so he got good damage out with that. What I was trying to say is, we have a reload here on the Engineer. So Sego says all day. He doesn't have to worry about ammo. Ammo literally doesn't matter to this Empire build at all. He's just going to keep casting Shem's Burning Gaze. He's going to keep shooting with Marcus Wolfheart. He's going to keep running away until the Chaos Dwarves take that point and force him to come say hello. If Sego's can take out the Infernal Guard. The Infernal Guard and the Archers are slowly harassing down the Cavalry as it recharges, recharges in and out. Restock on the Outriders, back to full ammunition, back up to 20 volleys. Wolfheart and the boys just kiting around. Chaos Dwarves getting a little split up. We have two chunks of units. This chunk back here has the last healthy Archer, which is currently getting hit with a side shot. Shem's Burning Gaze takes out a ton of HP. Those Hobgoblins might rout, and now that's going to take them out of position where the Empire Cav could maybe swoop in and take them out, but it actually looks like they're routing the correct direction, so that's pretty good for them. Engineer, maybe playing with fire a little bit, gets in close, takes a lot of damage from the Infernal Guard, and is now going to get hit with the Sorcerer Prophet in melee. No, he's going to run away in time. He'll be okay. Chaos Dwarves are starting to rout. The Outriders continue to kite around. This one looks like it's all Ogre. I just can't see what the Chaos Dwarves can do. Their only hope at this point is just to survive long enough to win on capture points, but that doesn't seem particularly likely since we haven't even started ticking up on the capture points. Hey, Contrary Codex, how you doing? Sorcerer Prophet takes another Overcast damage, and again, the Overcast hits and does a lot, so it works out for him, but Archangel has not been rolling very high on his checks to see if he's getting Overcast or not. The Outriders getting almost deleted by that Overcast ended up being very good for the Chaos Dwarves. Outriders want to chase those Hobgoblin Archers. And they probably should. There's 16 Infernal Guard, but yeah, that unfortunately lets the Hobgoblins come back, so that's going to cost you another Shem's Burning Gaze to get rid of them. Unfortunately, Sego's not happy about that. Chaos Dwarves getting a little bit of balance power back. Meanwhile, over here, his Outriders are just shooting these fleeing Hobgoblins for free. How many restocks do we even have? Still have 3 out of 4. Another Mercurial Shot down the Chaos Dwarf Warrior's side. No more use of that. But it's already done plenty. Chaos Dwarves try and take the point now. I mean, after you take it, you got to get 600 tickets. So after you take it, there's a 10-minute timer. Do I think the Chaos Dwarves can last 10 more minutes of this? No. What up, Biggest Chungus? Glad to have you, sir. Or madam. We know not the gender of the Chungus. We only know that it chung. Another Overcast. Does it hurt the Lord? No! The first one not to murder Archangel's Lord this entire game. Sego's dodges some of the Overcast. Not all of it, but he does dodge some of it. Hobgoblin Archers appear to be shattered. Frontal Guard Fireglaves are routing. There are no ranged units left for the Chaos Dwarves besides their Lord's little pistol, I guess. The Outriders are just kiting these guys. At this point, I can hit the ×2 speed. Dun. Get kited. Get kited, son. Segos, all three of his Lord and Hero got really good value. Spearmen got run over. Empire Knights did okay. Outriders did fine. And the Hammer of the Witches honestly underperformed considering it had exactly the target it wanted to shoot at and still didn't do that much damage, unfortunately. Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits did all right. Lord did pretty well. Archer's Infernal Guard did okay, I guess. And Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders did not do very well. GG. Empire advances. At the bottom, we have Slaanesh Greenskins. All right, I'm gonna put my desk in seated. Been standing for the past hour, and it's good for your little bones, but also. Don't want to pass out. All right, we're loading. I'm gonna switch my desk. My poor little lungs. They are so poor. So little. Torson versus Sommier. And we have Black Orcs and Trolls versus Slaanesh. Slaanesh with their Pavilion nerfed to not work instantaneously. If you were going to try and make Belgar work in multiplayer, what comp would he be best with? Probably, I mean, he doesn't change how dwarves want to play that much. So you could go pretty wide. Minus the blasting charges and Dwarf Warrior front line, 2 or 3 Thunderers, 2 or 3 Quarrelers, maybe some Gyrocopters, maybe a cannon, and then Belagar. I'd keep Belagar pretty cheap though. His combat abilities are a little overcosted since he's a foot character that can't force the fight. So your opponent has to opt into him, then you pop all your buffs, then they have to opt to not just walk away. So yeah, if you take Belagar like almost butt naked, then he's pretty fine, and you can take a dwarf build that works for you. Trollhammer Torpedoes and Iron Drakes are also very good, so yeah. But no, he doesn't change what you want to do with dwarves too much. No one does now that Thoric doesn't have Rune of Hearth and Home. Now all dwarf lords are just kind of like slow combat lords, pretty much. That's super generalizing, but I'm answering the question in the middle of trying to cast a different game, so can't give you too detailed of one. All right, what do we got? For Slaanesh, we have some Devoted Marauders, Spears, Demonettes, Hellstriders, Fiends, and Forsaken, with the Arwar Princess of Perfection on the front line, and then Azazel up in the sky. He brought Slicing Shards, Pavane, and Acquiescence. That's a lot of spells. On the other side, for the Greenskins, looks like they formed a nice tight box, and they are going to stand on the point and force Slaanesh to come get them. 3 Orc Boy Spears, 4 Black Orc Regulars, not the Great Weapon variant, 2 Orc Armor Boys, 3 Stone Trolls, a Giant, and a Night Goblin War Boss with his Rampage and Net, and a Night Goblin Shaman with Vindictive Glare Poke. So the thing with Slaanesh is you really don't want to spread out at all. Their whole thing is isolating and rampaging and murdering someone and then running it off the map for army ability. So if you stay nice and tight, Slaanesh just can't deal with you in a lot of cases. And that's why Slaanesh probably needs buffs in certain areas. The nerfs they got on like Seekers and stuff were fair, but they needed buffs in other places so that they could deal with stuff. Charging into the Black Orcs. I wonder where we're going to see the Rampages come in. I would like to see it on probably Fiends or something. I don't think you should Rampage Azazel. I think he's too small. You're not going to get that much damage out on him. Yeah, this is better. Just Rampage the Demonettes of Slaanesh. Force them into a bad fight with less melee defense, and then get that free damage out. Slicing Shards is coming down. I feel like it's been coming down for 6 years, but it did eventually land, and it did like 6 damage, so that was definitely worth a billion-year cast time. Fuck you, Slicing Shards. I think you're a bad spell. Meanwhile, Orc Spear Boy is going to hold on the back line, Black Orcs holding on the front, and these Black Orcs were thinking about routing for a brief moment, but they're not going to, and now Waz popped, giving them a little more melee juice. Archers are firing at Fiends currently. Looks like they're firing at the Fiends on top of the Demonettes, so no matter where their arrows land, they have a good home and a good target. Acquiescence down onto Stone Trolls, but their melee defense is already pretty bad, so they're like, yeah, sure, make it worse, I don't care. We're about to lose some Orc Spear Boys. We're about to lose some Black Orcs, honestly. And we've already lost Stone Trolls, so this flank of the Greenskin box is actually falling apart and getting very concerning. I am alarmed. The other side's going fine. Their Black Orcs and Spears are all holding, so we'll see what they do about this side. Bounce power is slightly in the favor of the Greenskins. I would tend to agree with the Giant just laying into Forsaken. He's probably waiting for Azazel or Fiends to come near him, but he doesn't want to spend his whole day chasing them around, so he'll just kind of hang out by the point. Eventually, you know, the fight will end up on the point if Slaanesh is going to push you off of it, so the Giant will eventually be useful. Most of our trolls have left. There's one troll left standing. The other two have routed, and then like we said, as soon as something routes, which is why the Greenskins stayed so tight since the beginning, as soon as something routes, Slaanesh is all over it. They're just running it down, charging up army ability from killing it off. So it's pretty brutal. There's no reason for you to want to disperse versus Slaanesh. Another Slicing Shards is down. Looks like these Orc Aura Boys are already starting to move, and that horrendously long cast time is very much hurting Slaanesh's ability to break boxes. Ouch. Demonettes and Fiends getting pretty low. Demonic units as they are, they will eventually lose their leadership and just die off. Second and final Wah is out for the Greenskins, giving the Black Orcs a decent melee attack for the first time all game. But Soporific Musk, plus their already kind of underwhelming base melee attack value, is proving to be a bit of a problem here for the Black Orcs, as they're not getting as much value out as they'd want. Fermented Fungi does rampage Azazel, but we're getting to see exactly why I was trepidatious about that being used this way. Sure, you rampage him for a hot second, but he is like an infantry-sized character, and he's just going to kind of get bopped about for a bit. Doesn't take that much damage, and now already Fermented Fungi is worn off. He's now netted, but again, he's netted, but he's just getting pushed around by these Stone Trolls, so he's really not taking that much damage. I've generally soured on using your nets and abilities to drag small single-entity combatants into melee to try and kill them, because it just doesn't seem to get that much damage out ever, unfortunately. Still have a couple Black Orcs holding till the end of time, though in comes a Fascination, I believe. Yes. And the Rampage is whatever. He's doing this for the damage. He's having a hard time killing these Black Orcs, so he's just going to take huge chunks out of it with that tier 3 army ability. I believe it's a tier 3. Or is Sweet Sorrow their tier 3? I think that's their tier 3 right now. I haven't played Slaanesh in a while, but yeah. So he took a ton of damage out of the Black Orcs with that tier 3, and that's what the Greenskins were trying to avoid. But anybody who routes just charges up the Slaanesh passive. They can use that to get damage on your Black Orcs. Damaged Black Orcs are more likely to route. Then you can run them off, get more army passive, repeat the cycle. Balance of power is very even as Azazel is dueling the Giant. Azazel should not want this fight. He needs to back off as the Giant is taking huge chunks out of his health bar. Azazel doesn't need to be here. He's trying to help his Fiends fight the Giant, but it's just an HP fight he's going to lose. He has half the HP of the Giant. And the Giant has more weapon strength, so Azazel needs to hit the Giant like 3 times to every time the Giant hits him once for it to really matter, percentage HP wise. We lose the Demonette. We're about to lose a Fiend. We're about to lose Azazel, and honestly, this game was 50-50. It was really anybody's game, but I think if Azazel stays in this fight with this Giant, that is going to be what causes him to lose the game. Because Azazel could be in the sky, he could be rear charging these Black Orcs, he could be charging over, killing those Archers, he could be rear charging these Stone Trolls, getting rid of all them. Just leave the Giant alone. It's slow as shit. You're never, like, it'll be there in the late game. You're not worried about it like flanking you or sneaking up on you or anything, but just opting into this fight is such an unmitigated disaster for Slaanesh. Like, Azazel and this Giant are just trading back and forth, and Azazel is much more important and honestly more expensive than the Giant is. The Fiends are also now surrounded by Orc Boy spears because they're still here. Just fuck off, leave the Giant alone, bro. And now he gets Fermented Fungi, but he's surrounded by a Giant and Stone Trolls, so he's not going to get bapped about and like not take much damage. There's now only single entities surrounding him, so he's going to take all the damage as the Rampage finally was off, but it's too late for Slaanesh, and a close game comes to a weird kind of anticlimactic end, as it feels like, I don't want to be a dick, but I really don't understand the decision there. It felt like Azazel and the Fiends committed to the fight and then took their hands off the keyboard, and like, I cannot possibly disengage from this situation. And I feel like I watched it get worse and worse, and he just never disengaged. Like, now he has, but the game's gone. There's no fucking hope for Slaanesh at this point. So I don't know what that was about. I thought Slaanesh played a pretty good game up until that point, and then that was just a really wild decision. I did not like that at all. Azazel's now trying to dive the caster, but army losses is going to hit and take these guys out. What up, Pickled Buddha? Been a while since I've seen that name. Ratman played Dark Elves. Yeah, our actual Dark Elf player had to drop, so I took over for him. I didn't qualify for this faction war. I tried, but I lost, so. GG me. For Solmier, Hellstriders did well. Forsaken did fine. Demonettes did fine. All things considered. Fiends did all right. Azazel did okay. For Torson, it was a solid build. I liked the idea. Orc Boy Spears didn't get much value, but they held. Black Orcs did pretty well. Orc Arboys got good value. The Trolls routed pretty quick, and the Giant did well. Secret Dark Elf main confirmed. Insane Giant value? I mean, 2,000. That's pretty good. Giants are only 1,400, I believe. Not bad. Not bad at all. As I fail to click on the right things, then I open a program I don't need. I was trying to do this. Send you into the tunnel of infinite despair. So we have our right side bracket up to, I believe, quarterfinals. Dwarves, Nurgle, Greenskins, and Empire. On the left-hand side, let's pop over there. At the top, we have Sepa versus Raced. Two old friends fighting each other on elves. I would say the elves are old friends, but Wood Elves and Dark Elves are not exactly fans of each other. Okay, Sepa versus Raced. Here we go. It looks like we're getting our first case of the Doomfire tech. I'm guessing that's a Sorceress of Dark with Doombolt. So I'm guessing Sepa has like 5 Doombolts in this build. Because remember, these games were played like right after the patch, so players were still figuring out what was meta. How's the air quality? Not good, not horrible. It's in the yellow. Green is fine. Yellow is not great. Orange and red are both like, I'm actively dying. All right. Small map, so let's get on with this really fast. Never mind, we have Doombolts coming in for the Spellweaver of Beasts. I'm just going to pause it. All right, for the builds, before the Doombolts hit, we have 4 Doomfire Warlocks, a couple Dark Riders, some Dark Shards, Bleak Swords, and Blackheart Corsairs for a frontline. Supreme Sorceress of Fire with Burning Head, so she does not have Doombolt, and then a Caniate Assassin with Web of Shadows. On the other side, for the Wood Elves, we have Treekin, 4 Treekin. Why? 4 Treekin, some Gladeguard with Starfire Shafts, some with Hagbane Tips, War Dancers, Dryads, and the Wild Hunters of Kuranos. We have a Beastcaster with Flock of Doom and a Curse of Honor here. Sepa's casting the Doombolts, but cast them a little too close together. When the foot character is on the ground, they can't get hit by it. So only 2 of them did damage. I saw a 3rd tick of damage, but only 2 of them actually did any damage. Still a 1/3 of the foot character's HP is missing from those Doomfire Warlock's bound spells. And they'll wait on a cooldown and probably do it again. I'm guessing this is Soul Blight. Yeah, Soul Blight from the Doomfire Warlocks. Nerfing the War Dancers down to 0 armor and less base weapon strength. Wild Hunters Kuranos are opting in, but you can see these bound Doomfire Warlock spells going off across the entire front line. So all of the Wood Elf front line is Soul Blighted at the moment as the Doomfire Warlocks pile back in. Wild Hunters Kuranos getting in there, doing some good damage onto the Doomfire Warlocks in the center, but in comes the next round of Doombolts. All right, it was just the 4th one that didn't get cast yet. So on the first rotation of Doombolts from the Doomfire Warlocks, half health is gone from the Spellweaver of Beasts. Burning Head through a couple of infantry does good damage. And the Treekin are just trying to hold for now. I generally think Treekin are terrible because they just take so much money to hold so little space. So that I feel like the Wood Elves are going to run out of front line, and then the Dark Elves are just going to flood over their Blade Guard, and there's not much the Treekin can do about that. War Dancer frontline is currently winning. We'll see what the Dark Elf Cavalry has to say about that as these War Dancers get in charge on the side. The Doomfire Warlocks are thinking about fleeing, however. Their leadership is faltering as Murderous Prowess pops at the perfect time for the Dark Elves to stay in this game. A lot of their units were about to rout, but they got a big leadership buff that they desperately needed. Archer's still firing for now is a bit of a problem, as we have Blackheart Corsairs and Bleak Swords at full health, trying to get around the back line and get onto these archers. The archers have been firing for free this whole time as they got rid of one of the Doomfire Warlocks. Wild Hunters of Kronos also taking a fight with Doomfire Warlocks on the back. That's probably favored for the Warlocks overall, considering that the Wild Hunters are more expensive. Canadian Assassin throws down his Web of Shadows as he tries to hunt down the Spellweaver himself, and he should do very well here. This is ideal for him. A low armor, low health target that he can just utilize his insane melee attack and high missile strength and weapon strength, but not high armor piercing. And yeah, he's gonna murder Wraith's Lord and Caster. Bounce Power's getting a little scary for the Dark Elves, just a teeny little bit scary. Doombolt cast on an already dying lady. Now the Canadian Assassin has to dodge some risky friendly fire. It ends up not happening, so he's okay. And now, unironically, the Treekin actually might end up being a bit of a problem as a Doombolt takes a big chunk of damage onto the Wild Hunters of Kronos, but the Dark Shards got mostly killed. Okay, good. We have one full health Dark Shard here. That's going to be super crucial. I was worried there were no more Dark Shards, so no armor-piercing missiles to deal with these Treekin. Never mind. Dark Elves win. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. Because you just have to kind of get, like, you know how we saw Segos versus Archangel? Chaos Dwarves versus Empire? You need a similar thing here as Dark Riders try and finish off the Wild Hunters of Kronos with a Soul Blight assist from the Doomfire Warlocks. But once you get into the late game, if it's just these Dark Shards versus Treekin, you're faster than the Treekin, so you should be able to kite them infinitely, and your armor-piercing missiles with a ton of ammunition, you'll be fine. You can kill them as long as you just play it slow. You can win the game from there. All they got to do is take out these Glade Guard with Hagbane tips to make sure there's no one that can contest your Dark Shards at range. Other Dark Shards trying to peel themselves from Dryads. Dark Riders running down the Wild Hunters of Kronos. Yeah, that's all fine. Balance of Power's back to maybe 55-45 in the Dark Elves' favor, or 50-50. It's kind of hard to tell with that little bar. Canadian Assassin's chasing two Wood Elf Archers that are trying to rally, so it is important that he stays after them, and Dark Shards are going to save themselves from the Glade Guard with a rear charge in from their Lord as well. Still have 3 healthy Treekin, but other than that, the Wood Elves are pretty much a spent force. All right, Dark Shards, earn your keep. See how much value you're going to get. Ready, men? Aim. Fire! No! Screw you, War Dancers! Oh! Ready! Aim! Fire again! Fire again. Oh, they routed. All right, Treekin. Full health Treekin versus Dark Shards. Let's see how much damage you do in one volley. Not that much, but enough. They do have 35% resistance to that form of attack because of physical and missile resistance, but the Dark Shards have the time. They'll get a ton of damage out. You can see Race sees it too. He sent all 3 Treekin to just waddle after that one Dark Shard. So Sepa's going to have to take a while just putting things in between that Dark Shard and danger. One of the Glade Guard did manage to rally because the Canadian Assassinate couldn't chase both of them at the same time. Dark Shard gets another volley off one of the Treekin, and then continues to retreat. 31 speed versus the 29 of the Treekin. Technically, they will be able to outrun them over time, but every time they stop and fire, they do close the gap a little bit with the Treekin because of that reloading. And they're kind of running at a weird angle right now, which is allowing the Treekin to catch up. So Sepa might have to sacrifice a Dark Rider or someone. Maybe. Blackheart Corsairs are already trying to muck this up, but the Treekin are just ignoring them. So we'll see as he kites. Canadian Assassin's going to catch his Glade Guard with the help of those Bleak Swords, so he'll be fine. Other Dark Shard gets into range to harass more Treekin. And there goes the Lord. She alone doesn't have enough mass to stop these guys, but she'll get poking. I mean, 285 weapon strength. Not a lot of it armor piercing, but it's high enough to get the damage in that you need. Dark Riders do sacrifice themselves, but they stop one Treekin, not both, as these other ones continue to just waddle at the Dark Shards. And the Dark Shards having to constantly reform lines as they keep changing angles. They need to honestly run in a straight line so that they get distance between themselves and the Treekin, because right now when they keep turning, the slowest people, the ones that have to go all the way around the formation, slow down everybody else. Meanwhile, over here, these Treekin taking good damage from the Dark Shards that have rallied, though, again, Raced is just running straight at them, so eventually those Dark Shards will get shut down. Blade Guard in the background getting routed off, so the Canadian Assassin's on his way back. We have another Burning Head through these Treekin, which does not matter at all. It just, there's not a lot of things left to cast it on, so you might as well. Treekin thinking about routing. There they go, which is a bit of a disaster for the Wood Elves, because now these Blackheart Corsairs can just chase down those Treekin. They won't come back. So Race is down to 2 Treekin. They'll chase around the Dark Shards, who kind of perpetually turn. This time the Treekin don't get any catch-up on them either. I'm going to fast forward at this point as we are in a bit of a slow grind into the late game. Dark Shards running away from Treekin in the distance. In near ground, however, the Canaan Assassin and Bleak Swords all group up on this Treekin. A Dark Shard returns and continues to fire at it. The other one, still running away from these Treekin, still just buying infinite time. The second out of 3 Treekin is going to rout any second now. That is army losses. Lesser regular Doombolt is banned. I believe those are domination tournaments where Doombolts are banned. None of the conquest events I know about have banned them, but maybe Tequila Sunset or Tactical Lich do. Didn't see Doomfire Warlocks used competitively since game 2. Yeah, the Doombolt buff was pretty big. All right, just glancing at all the values. Dark Elves had very spread out value, like everybody did their job, so that's pretty good for them. On the Wood Elf side, War Dancers didn't get a lot of value, unfortunately for them. They got decent kills, but not a lot of value from it. Wild Hunters of Kurnos did great, and all of the Treekin underperformed as usual. I've seen Treekin twice since the patch. I honestly forget if they got a buff or not, but people keep taking them all of a sudden, and they always underwhelm me. Treekin still suck. Treekin are the badge. Okay, so Sepa and the Dark Elves advance. I have to find Hayseed versus Berserk. Hayseed versus Berserk. Hayseed coming in clutch again with the super fun, super cool, amazing off-meta builds. Which, to be fair, Berserk also does. It's one of the original reasons I became a fan of Berserk. Berserk's just a super interesting player, and he's crazy good. Hayseed reminds me a bit of Berserk, but he's like not as good at the game yet. But it's just kind of like take whatever you want to take because you like it and make it good by just being good. But Berserk's like the OG for doing that because boy's just got hands. Man's got hands for days and weird, unique builds that I sometimes disagree with, but they usually work out. For this time, his Ogre Kingdom's weird, unique build. Some Lead Belchers, Crushers with great weapons, and then I thought I saw a Crusher with Iron Fist. Yeah, one of his Crushers has Iron Fists. Ogre Bulls, Noblar Trappers, and Flingers, with regular Noblars also in the front line, so a very diverse Noblar core. Then we have a Butcher of the Great Maw, who has his Maw Shard and Troll Guts, but also his Bone Crusher if he needs it. And then an Ogre Paymaster, again, this time just with Cash Cascade. He doesn't have the passive aura around himself. We have Hellstriders of Slaanesh, Dragon Ogres, Chaos Warhounds of Khorne, the Demon Prince of Slaanesh with Phantasmagoria, an enfeebling foe. But this guy was unique for a while. Coops was trying to sell me this stock, I believe, and I never really bought it, but he does have an insane amount of melee debuffs. -5 melee attack, -8 melee attack, and then -5 melee attack and melee defense when he's in melee with you. So he could really debuff your stats. Other than that, more Hellstriders, more Dragon Ogres, and then Marauders and Chaos Trolls for the front line. That Demon Prince of Slaanesh, if he lands on anything besides the Crushers, he should do very well. He just needs to be careful about those Crushers. And he could support a fight against the Crushers. His debuffs would be good against them, but he needs the Dragon Ogres or Hellstriders to be around to help him. He doesn't want to just land in those guys. Warriors of Chaos setting up a full surround. Oh, I forgot to mention, you might have noticed that we switched from Conquest to Land Battles. The left-hand side of the bracket was Land Battles, the right-hand side was Conquest, and players signed up for whatever side they felt like. And then there were players that signed up, I don't care, I'll do either, and I put them where I needed them. But, yeah. So it's a faction war of both Land Battles and Conquest, if anybody noticed that or cared. Ogre Bull's getting downhill charged by Hellstriders. They're getting good damage back on the Hellstriders, though, especially as Crushers join in, so the Hellstriders are trying to back off now. But the Dragon Ogres have gotten through to the front line, and they are moving on the Lead Belchers, going to just try and shut those guys down. And you can kind of set up a win-win here, where you either force the Crushers to come engage your Dragon Ogres, which then the Demon Prince of Slaanesh can dive down onto them, you can get a good engagement, or you just killed the lead belchers, so it's kind of a win-win for you, right? And now the Demon Prince of Slaanesh is diving onto the Ogre Paymaster, but this could be good, this could be a disaster, as the Crushers are getting a downhill charge. But will all the debuffs plus the Dragon Ogre countercharge, will it be enough as Enfeebling Foe is cast onto the Crushers plus Cash Cascade? Hold on, there is just too many stat debuffs. The Crushers are down to 29 melee attack and 6 melee defense because of Enfeebling Foe and all of these other things. Even with the Cash Cascade, without the Cash Cascade, they'd be down to 5 melee attack. And they aren't even affected by Soporific Musk yet. They haven't been hit. As soon as Soporific Musk hits, they'll get even less stats. So that's crazy. That's a lot of stat debuffs. And the Dragon Ogres are going to go absolutely nuts on these guys while that happens. So this is a good engagement for the Warriors of Chaos in the middle. The Warriors of Chaos are also getting through the front line. It is a bit of a disaster on this higher area, though. We've lost Hellstriders and Dogs, and the Dragon Ogres are all getting cooked by these Crushers with Iron Fists. And this is a bit of a problem, right? Now the Dragon Ogres are still losing this fight because the Crushers are beasts in their own right, and you're fighting Exterior Lord, and you're fighting with Ogre Bulls, and you're fighting with the Butcher, and none of the Warriors of Chaos support is nearby. They're busy killing the front line. But while you're trading 400 gold Marauders for 200 gold Noblars and shit, the Ogres spent all their money on their backline, so now it's hard to dive their backline because it's where most of their money is. Phantasmagoria went down, but the leadership debuff wasn't enough to get rid of either the Crushers or the Paymaster, so it was kind of a flub there from Slaanesh. Well, the Warriors of Chaos, but the Slaanesh caster. And now he's just stuck. He's having a really hard time disengaging, which is generally why I don't like these flying Demon Lords as much, just because I feel like they get caught too easily. We have Chaos Trolls coming to help out. We have Marauders running in to help out now, but I think the damage is already done. We've almost lost the Dragon Ogres. We've almost lost the Demon Prince of Slaanesh. And then honestly, basic Marauders, basic Trolls, and Hellstriders that are already wounded can't take out these Crushers and the Paymaster, so I think the Ogres can just win that grind fight from there. Over here, Dragon Ogres fighting to the very last. Hellstriders dive in too for some extra good damage, but again, I think the damage has already been done. Maybe over here, the Warriors of Chaos have enough meat left to grind those guys to dust, but I think this blob fight is a foregone conclusion in the favor of the Ogres. Demon Prince of Slaanesh is still trying to get into the sky, down to less than 1,000 HP, finally gets to safety and can fly up. Maybe if he gets a rear charge in on something, he can route it and chase it off the map or something, but he's not a type of Demon Prince that has any healing whatsoever. Crushers are getting pretty low. One of the Crushers was low, and then it got a big heal from something, either a Troll Guts or a Tier 3 army ability. I didn't see it happen. Ogres falling apart in this southern blob fight. In the northern blob fight, they have some Marauders and Trolls that are healthy-ish. In comes the Demon Prince. He is going to knock out the Crusher with the Great Weapon, so that's a pretty big win for him. He gets really good hits onto the Butcher with the Great Maw, so he is trying to bring it back, but he's just taking so much damage that if the Paymaster gets one good shot on him, if the Butcher gets 1 or 2 good shots on him, he might just start Demonic Instability crumbling. There's a Troll Gut, so the heal must have been a meat feast. So those are going to be heal-capped Crushers with Iron Fist. Rear charging into these Marauders. The Demon Prince tries to land in them, but I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be good damage, sure, but they're getting healed. They're gonna heal, bro. You can't outdo that healing. Less than 1,000 HP. Ogre Bulls and Crushers piling in. I think there's too much mass around him. He is stuck on the ground to the end of his days, and those are coming in hot as he's down to 800 HP and falling. Cash cascading down to surround the Prince of Slaanesh as he gets sent back to his realm. White flags appearing across the board for the Warriors of Chaos. I do think we'll be seeing army losses in a moment. As the Lord officially dies, leadership should tank on enough units to cause a domino effect around the map of army losses. Oh, that Marauder rallied. I was waiting for that Marauder to rout because that would have caused army losses to hit. When one of these 3 units gets a white flag above it, the other 2 will as well. I just thought that Marauder was going to rout because he was at 1 HP. Not 1 HP, 1 leadership, but then didn't rout. Poop. There's the white flag from 1. Ah, the other 2 withstand. How is this possible? I was so sure the army losses would take hold. Seriously? Oh, there's a full health troll. Hey, full health troll. That would be why there's no army losses. And now there is, but I thought I was looking at all the units, so I was like, why aren't they army lossing? Hey, Kukinko, we already cast your first game here. checked in on chat for a second. Hellstriders, mixed value. One did great, one did not. Trolls did okay. Dragon Ogres both did pretty well, honestly. But then the Lord really underperformed for how expensive they are. For Berserk, his Lord and his caster did okay. Ogre Bulls did fine. Iron Guts did fine. Flingers mixed, but overall fine. Trappers fine. Lead Belchers got shut down, but the Crushers did good work. How's the air? Still not great, but good enough that I can finish this cast, probably. So Berserk and the Ogres will move on to fight the Dark Elves. Next up, Scarbrand versus Butcherbird. I found that game, but I need to find the game I need to delete. There you are. Scarbrand versus Butcherbird, Khorne and Norska. Trolls on the Slaanesh roster? They're playing the Warriors of Chaos. When's the next lore rant? When I read a lore book. I've been reading the Witcher series, so not too much lore there. For Scarbrand and the boys, we have the Hellforged Bellowers, which I have not seen a lot of since it got nerfed a long time ago. Back in the winter, it got nerfed. Forsaken of Khorne frontline, Chaos Knights with lances to back him up, Fleshhounds and Chaos Warhounds with Scarbrand, who brought his AoE Rampage and Breath Attack. Very interesting Khorne build. On the other side, for Butcherbird and Norska, Skinwolves, Armored Skinwolves they are. Armored Skinwolves, Norskin Ice Wolves, Marauder Horsemen, a front line of 4 basic Marauders, Throg the Troll King, and a Shaman Sorcerer of Metal with Final Transmutation, Plague of Rust, and Searing Doom. So Khorne and the boys trying to kite for now as the Hellforged Bellowers move forward. Get decent shots on Norskin Ice Wolves. It is trying to shoot at the Foot Caster of Metal, which I don't know how much damage it does versus foot characters. It's been a while since I've seen this thing shoot a single entity foot character. Now I'm just curious, but it doesn't get the shot off before it has to retreat, and Forsaken are going to peel off those Norskin Ice Wolves. Forsaken are good into the Norska matchup because they have fire damage as infantry, so they're good against Skinwolves, they're good against Norskin Ice Wolves. Oh, thought Ice Wolves had fire weakness. I know Frostworms do. Trolls do. Speaking of Trolls, Throg is catching up to that Hellforged Bellowers. Gets a little shot on it, but now he's surrounded by Forsaken. He must be really careful of this. As Khorne is kiting Norska. Searing Doom onto a blob of Forsaken, and they are trying to dodge. And they dodge decently well, end up spreading out. Also, their spell resistance definitely helped them a little bit there. Scarbrand looks... He's probably going to use a breath attack, I'm guessing, is what he's positioning for. No, never mind. Never mind. Khorne continues to just kite back. Elsewhere, Khorne's trying to catch out the Norskins, but the Norskins are also going to back off as both sides are kiting. That's a thing that's happening. Scarbrand gets a big rampage, and this should be a moment for the Chaos Knights and Fleshhounds of Khorne to get good value in. Norskin Ice Wolves and Skin Wolves all stuck in this fight as more of them come in to help out, but they just get rampaged immediately too. And that is good damage so far onto the Marauder Horsemen. Not as much damage onto the Wolves or whatever, but we'll see if they can get away afterwards. Meanwhile, Forsaken throw themselves into Throg and the Marauders. They should win those fights pretty easily. And the Hellforged Bellowers continue to kite around as Chaos Knights get another charge. A lot of the Norskin force is not involved in the main fight, however, and that is going to be a bit of a problem as Scarbrand's Rampage was able to force a fight. Big damage onto the Skin Wolves, who are then forced away. And between the Fleshhounds and Chaos Knights, you should be able to chase those Skin Wolves off. Should. As Chaos Warhounds are getting in over their skis, they get 2v1'd by Norskin Ice Wolves, and they will rout, but the rest of the Khorne forces are nearby to come help out if they need to. Forsaken getting left alone is fine. They're generally chipper to just fight on their own. And the Marauder Horsemen using ammunition on them is perfectly acceptable for Khorne. He's happy enough to use it on his heavily armored infantry. Skinwolves and the Marauder Horsemen were not routed off the map, however. They did just get to stop and rally, but this one routes again for no reason, and that might just take it off the map. As there we go. It's running back off the map again. Maybe it'll kill itself off. Maybe it'll rally. Who knows? More Fleshhounds fading away. Chaos Knights taking a long grind fight on top of Forsaken, which is going pretty good. and the Hellforged Bellowers continue to try and put constant damage on the Shaman Sorcerer. Skinwolf did just off itself. Scarbrand is gonna get to fight Throg here. He has his Rampage back off cooldown for sure, so Throg does not want this fight. Wintertooth Crown and Fight or Die giving him impressive stats. 80-74. But he's fighting people with fire damage, so he doesn't want that. Scarbrand's going to take this fight with him until he tries to run away, and as soon as he tries to run away, he's going to get Rampage. So I think Throg might be just toast at this point, down to less than half HP. Forsaken are proving to be the real winners of the day. They're getting great fights everywhere, though they do opt into a Searing Doom, so they take a little bit of damage there, but again, that spell resistance doing good work for them. Throg gets aid from his Skinwolves and Marauder Horsemen, but this is what Khorne wanted. Khorne wanted you to stay in a fight with him. Chaos Knight's going to get rear charged as they get hit with Plague of Rust. The Norscan Ice Wolves will actually get a lot of value onto them. Ooh, it's only undercast. They still have 100 armor. Okay. I mean, it's good. It's a good Plague of Rust, but I thought it was overcast. Still look at the damage they're taking from those Norscan Ice Wolves and Skinwolves. Throg's still getting chased by Scarbrand, who doesn't seem to be letting him go. Hasn't used that Rampage yet. I guess it could be on cooldown, but I mean, we're like 5 minutes into a game, and the only Rampage I saw from him was very early on. Another big shot onto Throg. The Lord Snipe will be important. Balance of power is actually slightly in Norska's favor. So Khorne does need to pull off some shenanigans to turn this game back around. There is a big Rampage. Just going to lock up a bunch of Skirmish Cav as he continues to slap Throg. Probably has army abilities. I don't know if he has a Sword of Khorne or if he even intends to use a Sword of Khorne. Could just be saving those things, but big blob of cavalry was tempting. Throg's down to 13 HP, and he does die outright, so Norska's going to take a big leadership hit. For Khorne, however, we have a Hellforged Bellowers, which could have problems getting value, as there's plenty of mobility to chase it down. There's Skinwolves, there's Norscan Ice Wolves, there's the Shaman, apparently. So the Hellforged Bellowers could have issues getting its damage out. Scarbrand's down to half HP, and the Forsaken are all quite tattered, especially if they get hit with this Searing Doom, which again, they're trying to dodge, and it was a good dodge. For Norska, losing your Lord is rough. Your Marauder Horsemen are pretty much out of ammo, honestly. I would consider them as not having ammo. So no ammo, you have to engage Khorne in a melee, and you're relying on Skinwolves and Dogs, which are all notoriously low leadership, especially when your Lord is already dead. Plague of Rust is out onto the Forsaken, trying to leave Scarbrand without any support, trying to kill off the Forsaken first, but there go all the terror routes out from the Skinwolves as Scarbrand continues to rampage through them. Hellforged Bellowers is going to heal up the longer it's in melee, and it gets more ammo, but we're kind of in a position where it's not going to get to use most of its ammo in this game anyway. Norscan Ice Wolves and the Skinwolves can keep it honest, whether it likes it or not. Norska is just fleeing in every direction. We can see decently high HP on them, but their leadership just can't hold up without Throg. Marauder Horsemen almost routed off the map, then decided not to. Oh, these other Marauder Horsemen are already off the map. It's just their flag isn't moving, so okay, that's a thing. Skinwolves all routing off. Shaman Sorcerer retreating back to his forces. I wonder if he has enough Winds of Magic for a final transmutation, because that would definitely be useful about now. But it's looking rough for the forces of Norska. They just don't have the gumption to stay in a fight with Scarbrand. Like, they could win if they had the leadership to fight, but they don't. We just kind of keep seeing them run away. Another shot onto the Shaman Sorcerer, just punishing his HP. We're going to see more cycle routing until these guys start getting the shattered skulls above their head. I honestly think most of Norska just shatters instead of dies. Probably how this is going to go. Just charge in, route. Do we have any Vampire Counts games? We did in the last stream for this, but they were eliminated by the Wood Elves. Out of all lords, I think Scarbrand has to be the worst matchup for Throg. Yeah, probably. I mean, fire damage, higher speed than Throg, so you can catch him. High damage. Alright. Skinwolves once again piling up to try and take out Scarbrand. Most of Khorne's support has gone, so we are down to just the Hellforged Bellowers and Scarbrand. You can see Scarbrand is taking a lot of damage when Norska fights. That's my point, is like, if Norska doesn't run away, they do a ton of damage to Scarbrand, especially paired up with Plague of Rust, but they're just so scared. Like, we have these dogs are all terror routing, these Skinwolves are getting close to terror routing, these Marauders are charging back in, only to probably rout in a second or two, and the Hellforged Bellowers are still grinding alongside him. There goes the terror rout in for those Skinwolves. The Hellforged Bellowers do take a lot of damage in melee as well, but they can at least heal it back up. Shaman Sorcerer, chilling on the outside. If he had a Final Transmutation, that would be huge. I know the Plague of Rusts are also quite good, but I just think that extra guaranteed damage could be pretty huge. Good shot from the Hellforged Bellowers from the Blob to route the Shaman Sorcerer, and with that, it looks like army losses is going to hit. GG. Scarbrand himself, not the player, but the actual character, got 3,200 value. Forsaken all did fine. Chaos Knights did fine. Hellforged Bellowers did actually very well. On the other side, Throg had a bit of a tough time. Marauders did fine. Actually pretty good. Marauder Horsemen did pretty well. Ice Wolves did all right. Skin Wolves, more mixed. How did that shoot out of melee? You can put on guard mode and fire anyway. Hey, Rat, how are the lungs doing? Not great, but good enough to finish this stream, I imagine. So Khorne advances to the quarterfinals. And then we'll have Nurgle's PA on Skaven versus Rusto's High Elves in a second here. So let me delete that. There's Nurgle Dwarves. That's not what I need. This is not what I need. Where is the thing I actually want? There we go. Nurgle's PA versus Rusto. And that is a high elf build of all time. Okay. I have run out of water and I am very parched. I'm going to pause this game as soon as we get in and come right back. But yeah, no infantry for the high elves. And that makes sense. Versus Skaven, almost all your infantry are dog shit, so makes sense. Okay, there's that. So you can look at the pretty armies if you want to. I'm gonna grab water. I'm back. Calm down. Okay, I'm back. AQI in Michigan is about half of what it was yesterday. Nice. You need to fire at will, not guard mode, Phoenix King? I saw Scarbrand click on the Shaman, though, so he forced it to attack with guard mode on. All right, let's do this. High Elves versus Skaven. We have 4 Illyrian Reaver Archers, 3 Silver Helms with shields, an Archmage of Death on an Eagle with Spirit Leech and Doom and Darkness, Arcane Phoenix for terror that can heal itself and is rather tanky, Lion Chariots of Krace paired with Rahagras Pride. So we're going with a leadership bomb strategy, and then we have another Silver Helm off in the distance. But Rahagras Pride have that Lion's Roar, -8 leadership, and then you have the Archmage of Death with the AoE -16 leadership from Doom and Darkness, and then you have Terror from the Arcane Phoenix. So they're trying to just like leadership bomb the Skaven at one point. Guard mode is 0 impact. I thought it used to be that if you didn't have guard mode on, your unit would engage in melee instead of listening to your command to shoot. Do you already have plans for when the next faction war is going to take place? Probably after the DLC. On the other side for the Skaven, a front line of Skaven slaves backed up by 3 Eshin Triads, some Rat Ogres. We have a Doomflayer, the Dwarf Thing Menace. We have the Avalanche Mortars, Warlock Engineer with Flensing Ruin and Howling Warp Gale, a Packmaster, And then a Gracier of Plague with just the dreaded 13th summon. Avalanche Mortars will do decent damage to cavalry if they get a straight shot on them, but without having infantry to shoot at, the Skaven are pretty bummed out. When do we get a Great Horned Rat? I don't know. It's Fire That Will. It needs to be on and you spam click and melee. Got it. So you just spam click. Got it. Avalanche Mortar is getting shut down by the Arcane Phoenix, but that might leave it exposed, as it does get netted in place, and then the Packmaster charges in, buffing up the Rat Ogres as well, giving them 60 melee attack with his Shock Collar. Lion Chariots of Grace are also in here, but this feels a little overly aggressive from the High Elves right now. Like, the rest of their stuff isn't in here to support, really, so now you have Chariots that are going to take a lot of damage. Your Arcane Phoenix is getting chased off. This could be a good moment for Silverhelms to wrap up the Packmaster and get good damage out, as long as the Avalanche Mortars are not going to be able to punish that blob that's forming. But you can see the Lion Chariots are getting cooked here. This was, like I said, a little over-eager. Like, we don't have all of the Silverhelms. We don't have all the Illyrian Reavers in place, so I don't love that. Lion Chariot is dead, and that's 1,200 gold. Arcane Phoenix did not stop to fight the Packmaster. It got to safety, so there was no damage left. Silverhelms can't really fight the Packmaster that well, so he is going to be just fine. Doom and Darkness is cast on a random Skaven Slave to rout it, which is fair, but I feel like the High Elves are kind of floundering a bit. I feel like they're not doing their cohesive bomb they wanted to do. They sent like one thing after the other after the other. The Doom and Darkness was a single cast on a Skaven Slave, not an overcast on a blob. The Rahagra's Pride aren't anywhere nearby to provide their roar. Like, it's just kind of, the combo wasn't ever pulled off, and it's already getting pretty bad for them. Dreaded 13th landed on 2 Silverhelms, who are now both being forced away. The Arcane Phoenix and the Lord are going after the Avalanche Mortars, but the Lord gets caught on the ground. And the Packmaster, though he's janking the fuck out and doing that thing Brood Horrors do all the time, where they allow stuff to escape by walking with it, Silverhelms charging in actually forced the Packmaster to turn around. So strangely enough, the Silverhelms charging him fixed him. But Eshin Triads and Rat Ogres were already taking out the Archmage of Death. The Arcane Phoenix is back in, but the balance of power is already tragically bad for the High Elves. I don't hate the idea of the build. I think it's fine. I do think there was some mis-execution problems. I also think this matchup is pretty horrendously bad for the High Elves, so it's much harder for the High Elves to pull off what they need to pull off to win than it is for the Skaven. It's not unwinnable. It's just pretty heavily disfavored. I think the High Elves made some mistakes, so they can't just be like, bad matchup, throw up their hands, GG, but yeah. It does force you to take pretty extreme strategies, and then if you don't pull them off perfectly, extreme strategies fall apart. There's a reason that the strategies like this aren't usually meta and you don't see them often, is because they're so fragile. Like, if one thing goes wrong, kind of the whole map falls apart for you. Warlock Engineer does die. Spirit Leech plus an Arcane Phoenix dive in, gets rid of him. I mean, he's shattered, but now he's going to die. Still have the Gracier. Still have 1 Dreaded 13th cast, so not all of the remaining Winds of Magic will go to waste. Could the High Elves single entity scum to win without Flensing Ruin? Probably not really. I mean, the Arcane Phoenix would have to kill a lot of Triads, Rat Ogres, Doom Flares. Seems unlikely. Still the Lyran Reavers. They have okay ammunition, but not amazing. And they're just Lyran Reaver archers. I mean, these aren't like Way Watchers, for God's sakes. They're not going to do that much damage. As the Skaven pile over Rahagra's Pride, who are trying to get out of here, but a couple of their lions get swamped in the Skaven Tide, so those will eventually die. The other ones are getting sucked back in, so they have to keep getting attack orders to leave, to not go back and save the 2 models that are actually stuck in there. The Arcane Phoenix is looking for a good Vortex right now. That could do some decent damage, especially to the healthy Triad that ended up pathing back into it. That's a good Vortex. The High Elves really trying to scrap this back out in the late game, and this is a big catch. Spirit Leech or Doom and Darkness, I didn't see which one onto the Packmaster, but Shock Collar plus Scrying Stone gave him enough leadership to get through it. But as that extra leadership fails, he's going to start to get close to routing, even at a high HP point. Even without Doom and Darkness, you can see he's down to 14 leadership. The Skaven are coming over to try and bail him out, but the Arcane Phoenix diving in, and there's a Doom and Darkness, so it was definitely a Spirit Leech earlier. Nice catch onto the Packmaster, getting rid of their Terror Source, getting rid of their healing, getting rid of their ability to give their Rat Ogres immune to Psychology. All that's pretty good. Silverhelms and Lyran Reavers continuing to kite. The Archmage of Death has Spirit Leeches to use. Arcane Phoenix has its own healing, and we still have Rahagra's Pride, so we could still have that big leadership bomb. I just don't know if it's going to work next to a Gracier. The Gracier with his Unholy Clamor ability if he needs it, but he also just has passive leadership next to him. He's pretty good at countering that sort of thing, especially when you're in a late game blob situation. Lyran Reaver archers trying to do what damage they can with their arrows. I do appreciate not Spirit Leeching the Grayseer at this point. You're not going to kill him. He has spell resistance and a very high HP pool for a Skaven Lord. Not high compared to everything in the game, but for a Skaven Lord, he has a pretty high HP pool. So Spirit Leeching the Dwarf Thing Menace is good, because your Lyran Reaver archers can't do that much damage to the Doomflayers. So Spirit Leech the Doomflayers, shoot the Rat Ogres. I would honestly leave the Grayseer, and then in the late game, if you get there, you can kill him in melee, but he's too high health for now, so it's going to be too hard to kill him. It would be nice. It'd be nice to kill him, because then the rest of this much more easily breaks to... What the hell are you doing? The friendly fire! Whoo! Okay, I didn't know Dreaded 13th doesn't do friendly fire anymore. I don't know when that got added. Summons a unit of Storm Vermin, huge explosion area, strong versus multiple units. I don't see where it says it doesn't do friendly fire, so wow. Okay, I thought he was just going to delete all of his own extra triads. Whew! You learn something every day. When did that change happen? It didn't used to be the case. Chariot and Archmage between Rat Ogres are tough. Yeah, they took a lot of damage. The Arcane Phoenix is honestly trying to proc its heal at this point because the balance of power is getting so bad that if it gets too low, they'll lose on army losses. So it wanted to get its heal while it had more units left to still combo the heal with, right? Here comes the big combo. Doom and Darkness Overcast. Rahagra's Pride have already routed off the map, so there is no extra roar for them. Otherwise, we would have gotten a couple more routes in here. We can see these Eshin Triads are already routing. Everybody's already routing besides the Storm Vermin summon, honestly. So this is the combo that the High Elves wanted. They just couldn't pull it off till now. Balance of power is teetering very bad for them. They're getting close to army losses, honestly. They just need to hold on until the Storm Vermin summon goes away, and that should help their balance of power enough. Maybe? Nah, still not enough. Army losses takes them out. There's Rahagra's Pride. So they weren't there for the bomb. So we actually never got to see the full leadership bomb in effect. Nurgle's PA, his Lord and Packmaster both got okay value. His Warlock Engineer didn't get to cast a Flensing Ruin before he got sniped out. Rat Ogres all got really good value. Triads did okay. That was about it. No side for Rusto. I like the build idea. It was pretty hard to execute on, and we never saw the full Doom and Darkness plus Rahagra's Pride plus the Terror in a blob go off. Just couldn't get it coordinated all game, so that was pretty rough. But he scrapped back pretty good from a very rough start. He ended up making it a kind of close game, but it was tough. And as I did say at the start, like, it's a rough matchup. It's a very rough matchup, so I'd honestly say it's like 70-30, maybe 80-20 in the Skaven's favor. So it's a good try. Good try. Sometimes in single faction tournament type events, sometimes you run into the not unwinnable, but the very tough matchups. Round 1 is the only round I actually match fix. I make sure everybody has a chance, and I give players the option to veto something before we play it. But after that, it's just kind of in the hands of the Dark Gods. All right, 4 games left. As we find out who our top 4 are, who are waiting to play live Sunday for you fine people. Will it be Sepa, Berserk, Scarbrand, Nurgle's PA, Torson, Sego's, Kukinko, or Alfredino? Let's find out with our last 4 games of the day. We have Nurgle versus Dwarves. I'm just going to go with them in the order I happen to find them. Nurgle versus Dwarves, Alfredino and Kukinko. Looks like we have Grombrindle plus double Dragon Slayer again. This time against Tamercon, the Maggot Lord. All right, loading up for the Dwarves. We have Miners front line with Miners of Blasting Charges secondary. 3 Giant Slayers, double Dragon Slayer, Grombrindle the White Dwarf, Quarrelers, 1 Bolt Thrower, and the Dragonback Slayers. For Nurgle, we have a couple Chaos Furies. Tamarkan on his Toad Dragon, interestingly enough. Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle with the heal. Plague Toads and Pestigores for a front line with 1 Skirmish Cav throwing axes. Top 4 will be live games. Yep. Yep. Double Dragon Slayers OP. Maybe. Nurgle can maybe pull it out. But the players voted to allow the double Dragon Slayers. They voted for the competitive stuff and not have the unit bans. I take my hands off the keyboard. I voted to keep the unit bans. Chaos Fury is flying onto the Bolt Throwers, but the 8 model Bolt Throwers can be very difficult to shut down at times, so we'll see how much damage the Furies are able to get out, as Giant Slayers and the Dragonback Slayers are around to peel. Meanwhile, Tamarkan is stuck dealing with triple Axe Hero, as these Dragon Slayers and Grombrundle are currently cooking his ass. Flash Bomb takes him down to 24 speed, and he's already lost almost half his HP as those 3 hit him. He is starting to waddle away with his superior mass and speed. He is going to get back to safety, but that was pretty impactful damage. Frontline is going well for Nurgle, as Alfredino only brought miners. It's pretty easy for the Nurgle Pestigores and Plague Toads to murder all those miners. In the back line, Giant Slayers and Dragonback Slayers are killing Chaos Furies, and still those Bolt Throwers are not even dismounted. 8 Bolt Thrower models is very hard to deal with, because they just kind of like make a roadblock, so a lot of units get stuck on them and can't get to the crews. Miners are starting to tear out. Pestigores and Toads could water through. Nurgling's gonna go fight Dragonback Slayers for now. And Slayers really don't want to fight other infantry at all, ever. They'll win, but they won't win cost effectively. With 0 armor, I mean, they just hate trading. They like to fight big, expensive stuff and tear it to pieces. They don't like to slog. Chaos Furies are back onto the Quarrelers again, being a nuisance. And we have other Chaos Furies of Nurgle also ready to participate in the fun if they want to. Bounce power is slightly, teeny tiny, itty bitty in Nurgle's favor, and it kind of creeps back to 50-50. But that was including a big heal onto Tamarkan, so who knows where his healing cap is, but it doesn't last forever. Plague Toad's starting to get a little low, and Tamarkan is going to opt back into the fight. Nurgle's favored son on him, damage resistance and melee defense. Will that help versus the Dragon Slayers and Grombrundle? We'll see. As Pestigores think about routing, Lagtoad's not doing too good either. The Dragon Slayers are knocked on their butt as the Toad Dragon wanders around them. But as they get up, will you swing your mighty axes? Yes. Will you do damage? Yes. Nurgling's gonna die. Dragonback Slayers lost a third of their HP fighting those Nurglings. Meanwhile, Bolt Throwers are shut down. Giant Slayers are chasing after Furies who are very close to demonic instability crumbling. And Plague Toads are also causing a lot of disruption. Miners everywhere are starting to retreat. But how are the Slayers doing? One Giant Slayer is pretty much dead. Another Giant Slayer is also very low. The Dragonback Slayers and the 3rd Giant Slayer are both tip-top shape. So it is 2 healthy Elite Slayers, 2 Hero Slayers, and Grombrundle. 5 unbreakable units are going to be the last stand of the Dwarves, as all of their units that are capable of routing are pretty much heading for the hills. We have a miner here or there, but they're all so low that I don't really factor them in. I vote for limiting unbreakable units per army. When are you finishing Legendary Lord Tournament? Whenever I get the time to stream, that I have lung capacity to stream. Yeah. Plus, that one's still ongoing. There's still 13 games left to be played total before we even can cast them. Can't believe I'm actually rooting for Nurgle. Yeah. Another Fleshy Abundance heal onto the Toad Dragon. Chaos Fury's still trying to chase stuff off. A couple of them get stuck on Giant Slayers for a little bit, and now they're going to peel off and go take out Quarrelers. And one of the Giant Slayers did just die outright. Akron's Miners thinking about routing someday. Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle just charges into Slayers. Ooh, yeah, he doesn't want to charge into Giant Slayers. This is a whoopsie. Oh, he just gets melted by those Giant Slayers. Tamarkan comes over to try and bail him out. He does have 2 breath attacks left. That Chaos Sorcerer had a real bad time dealing with that. Giant Slayer's almost dead. Curse of the Slug slowing them all down. But big damage onto Tamarkan as well. He is heal capped, so now he's just stuck with the damage he gets. Still, the Frolicker's Bubonic, very healthy. Still have some Plague Toads, I guess, for disruption. But that's the big thing, is Plague Toads are more about disruption than damage. And when you're out of range units to disrupt, they really don't like to just take a knockdown, drag-out fight. Nurgle's favorite son is popped, but Tamarkan kind of jukes a charge, then dips out. But his buff is running this whole time, so he kind of has to just get into a fight. Though, like, honestly, the fights suck for him. I get it, but he kind of has to do it. He uses his breath attack, gets decent damage onto the Dragonback Slayers, but does more friendly fire to their Frolicker's Bubonic, which is a little unfortunate. But now he's burned half of his buff without being in melee, and now he's opting in. There goes Flash Bomb. He's slowed. He's debuffed. He gets a little bit of damage onto Grombrindle. Those Dragon Slayers are coming for his booty. He's down to half HP. Like we said, he's heal capped. He really can't get much more healing anymore. And the dwarves are still grinding away. Frolicker's Bubonic have a little bit more healing left to go as they're trying to get through all these Slayers. Dragonback Slayers have taken a lot of damage. Giant Slayers down to half HP, but they're still the 3 very healthy single entities for the dwarves, the Hero Hammer itself. Tamarkan's going to charge over on some miners. Nurgle's just trying to stall. I don't know what they're stalling for exactly. They left the Frolickers behind. This would make more sense to me if everybody was backing off, but the Frolickers are staying in melee while other people are backing off. And I wonder who they use the heal on. I wouldn't hate healing the Pestigors. I know it's tempting to heal the Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle, but honestly, he is going to be useless in this fight. The Pestigors are your best hope, so maybe cast Fleshy Abundance on the Pestigors, let the Frolickers use their passive slow heal. Tamarkan's already heal capped, and then keep the Chaos Sorcerer out of it. He's just too weak. Like, even if you heal him, what's he going to do? Charge in and get one shot anyway? Who cares? Tamarkan's lining up his last breath attack, I think, and then he's going to charge in. He does have Feast of the Maggot Lord, so he could get damage onto one single entity, but it's not that much. The Fleshy Abundance is getting used on the Frolickers instead. That's fine. Like, they're doing good work, so might as well heal them up. There goes the final breath attack in. Decent damage onto the Giant Slayers, and now Tamarkan's probably just got to take the fight. He goes in. He's going to get worked on by the dwarves, but for now he's knocked them on their ass. Flash Bomb's off cooldown again, so he gets debuffed. And he is trying to cycle charge, but now he's trying to back off with only 20 speed. All of the dwarves are faster than him, and they're just chewing him up. Oh, he's getting murdered. That Flash Bomb stopping him from doing anything he wants to do. Marauder Horsemen saving him by just putting their bodies between him and the dwarves. And then they rout off, but they did their jobs at least. Giant Slayers down to half their models. Dragonback Slayers down to 15. Tamarkan pops his buff and he's back in. But we can see the Sorcerer dove in and immediately just got chunked out. Bounce power goes heavily in the favor of the dwarves. Dragonback Slayers and the Giant Slayers still taking a lot of damage. Still not enough, unfortunately. And that is going to be GG. Yeah, we heroes and slayers, a lot of dwarves lose every other aspect of a fight and still win. It's really lame to see. Yeah, I generally don't like Hero Hammer. It's why in my tournaments in Vermin League, we have the Dwarven Hero Hammer limited pretty severely. And certain dwarf players don't like that we do that. I just don't think it's satisfying to watch Hero Hammer personally. So it's definitely a preference thing. But like I said, this tournament, I let the players vote on whether to do more constraining unit restrictions or competitive integrity, which is just like allow stuff that isn't literally bugged or broken. And they voted for competitive integrity, so the Dwarven Hero Hammer is allowed. He's playing well within the rules. It is what it is. But yeah, there's a reason you don't see this in a lot of my other events, and that's because I personally limit it because I don't like Hero Hammer. I don't think it's a fun or engaging way to play the game. And the dwarves aren't the only ones that can do Hero Hammer. I generally think Hero Hammer is pretty lame across the board. All right, Dwarves and Alfredino will be seen in top 4. I don't think anybody would have been surprised if I told you Dwarves would be in top 4. I don't think anybody would have been surprised if I told you Alfredino was in top 4. And I think even less people are surprised when I tell you Dwarves, piloted by Alfredino, made it to top 4. Let's see. I'm just going to scroll until I find the next game. I'm not going to look for one specifically here. And that's not one of my games. That's not one of my games. Scarbrand versus Nurgle's PA Faction War. Okay, that is one. So we're going to the bottom left. I have a bunch of Legendary Lord replays, and I have a bunch of replays I need to cast for individual videos in here. So my replays folder is a bit of a mess. So I'm just kind of hopping around until I find what I'm looking for. So, Skaven versus Khorne for another top 4 spot. Who will make it? L Dwarves, they just can't win without Hero Hammer? What? What do you mean they just can't win without Hero Hammers? I don't play Hero Hammer on Dwarves, and well, I haven't played a ton recently, but I was 7-0 last patch on Dwarves. Dwarves are very strong without Hero Hammer. This is some bullshit. Alright. For the Skaven versus Khorne, we have Gutter Runner and Night Runner Kite as a front line. We have Skaven Slaves backing up after that, Eshin Triads, Rat Ogres, and Doom Flayers, including the ROR, and then Ikit Claw on his own Doom Flayer with Flensing Ruin, Howling Warp Gale, and then Storm Demon and Unlimited Power. On the other side for Khorne, Scarbrand with his AoE Rampage, Karanak with his Net, and then his Silence. Yes, his Silence. So if he can get onto Ikit can't cast Flensing Ruin for the rest of the game. Hellforged Bellowers for a bit of kiting, then a front line of Marauders and Warhounds and Skirmish Cav. It's a little different of a build than I usually see out of Khorne. Normally you'd see Minotaur or Spawn Rush. But he's trying to out-kite the Skaven. Looks like he suspected the Skaven would go with something very short range. No Warp Lightning Cannon, no Jezzails to punish this Hellforged Bellower. Go Cannon ROR, just ripping shots into the Night Runners. Though the Night Runners are already pretty bummed out. They were hoping to shoot down Chaos Furies. And there are no Chaos Furies here, so they're already, like, not getting to see the unit they wanted to see. And now they're getting kited out by the Hellforged Bellowers. Skaven having to run through those little infernos. Don't do as much damage as they used to, though, after the nerfs. Bonk. And the kite continues. Storm Demon's getting cast. Shooting it against the Skirmish Cav didn't appear to do too much damage. But the single entity Chariot of Khorne continues to kite. And remember that this is the nerfed version. This used to be every Khorne game when that thing had like double the range and more damage. Just a single entity, high speed, ammo regenerating cannon. I don't possibly see what could go wrong with this unit design. But I do honestly think after the nerfs it's a very fair or even underpowered unit, but the Skaven didn't bring any of their long range tools, so they're getting punished for that. Khorne kiting, this is heresy. Yeah. I know people talk. I doubt people tell like exact builds, but people definitely talk about how games went, and I suspect that people were starting to gather what Nurgle's PA was bringing as Skaven, where it was like every build has been roughly a core of Triads, Rat Ogres, Ikit, and Doom Flayers. And honestly, that's not just PA. I know a lot of Skaven players have moved to that. So if you suspect they're just gonna heavily rush you like this, then you could bring Kite. If you're thinking they're not going to bring Jezzails or Warp Lightning Cannons. Scarbrand did get a little trapped up in Triads and Rat Ogres. He's having a tough time getting out of here as Night Runners are getting good hits onto his backside. Yeah. I shouldn't say just PA, though. Like I said, a lot of Skaven players have moved to this kind of rush strategy and just abandoned shooting units altogether. deeply ironic for Khorne. Yeah. Khorne likes axes. Doom Flayers in the meantime, just go fight Marauders. Nurgle's PA says you can't kite this and just runs Doom Flayers into his light infantry and murders them. And the Skaven are up on the balance of power because of how much the ammunition on the Hellforged Bellowers factors into its balance of power, but the game doesn't also factor in that it can get that ammo back by being in melee. So the balance of power is going to be a bit wonky this game, but definitely I would rather be Khorne than Skaven right now. Nurgle's PA did send out both of his Doom Flayers. They both killed a Marauder for almost free, and now Scarbrand is getting hit with Flensing Ruin. He's going to try and take it away from the Hellforged Bellowers so it doesn't go get 2-for-1 damage. I think that's fine. Karanak got left off in the distance, so he's coming back to the fight now, as we have some skirmish cav throwing at Rat Ogres. Random Chaos Warhounds are routing. They are just dog units after all, so they're pretty easily spooked. Karanak's got to go find Ikit. I think that's where he's going now. I imagine we'll see the little dog net appear on Ikit any second now, and then Karanak's just going to sprint at him. I'm guessing that's how that's going to go down. Big charge in from Khorne onto a brass orb from Ikit. They're taking a lot of damage, but they saw the blinking leadership bars of this game, and they just wanted to cause a rout over there and get Scarbrand off to safety. Karanak did run up to Ikit. I suspected that would happen. I don't know if it's necessarily a good idea, though, because there's like 1.5 billion Night Runners right here, but he is getting good damage on Ikit. He is silencing him, and there goes the net. It has 10 seconds left, and Scarbrand is mounting up to get a good downhill charge onto Ikit, and Ikit's on his Doom Player, not his Doom Wheel, so he has significantly less HP than he would otherwise. The net wears off now, but Scarbrand got in. Scarbrand got one big hit. I think he'll get a second one before Ikit can run away, because Ikit's got a turn, which takes him a long time. Oh, but he saved his Rampage! So Ikit gets netted into Rampage. Now, unfortunately for Khorne, Rampage doesn't work on a unit that's already routing, because they'll Rampage their way off the map and get away from you. But still, that was a nice blob punishment tool going on, because now all these Night Runners aren't shooting Scarbrand, they're stuck in melee with him. Eshin Triads running in, though, is problematic for poor Karanak and Scarbrand. They don't like that whatsoever. And the Marauder Horsemen of Khorne try and jump in. Ooh, big Sword of Khorne, Sword of Khorne, Sword of Khorne, go, go, go! Yeah! Boom! Oh, I love Sword of Khorne. It's my favorite tier 3 army ability in the whole game. Eshin Triad murdered, 2 Night Runners murdered. That was a huge Sword of Khorne. And Ikit, surrounded by the skirmish cav, couldn't get distance, couldn't retreat, and now Scarbrand has caught up to him once again. Ikit is still faster, briefly, so Scarbrand's got to get good damage on him, because maybe a wounded Ikit is too slow to get away. 71 speed to Scarbrand, 68. It looks like he still might get away. 65 to 65, because some Gutter Runners slowed Scarbrand down. Karanak did get murdered by the Triads and Rat Ogres. He was not able to escape, so he died. Pretty rough stuff there for Khorne to lose such an expensive hero, but at least Ikit's already routing, so if Scarbrand can successfully chase Ikit down, then it won't be such a big deal you've lost Karanak, because Karanak kind of runs out of things to do after the Lord is dead. Still have 2 healthy Doom Flayers. Scarbrand is faster than Ikit, barely, so he should be able to catch up, especially if he gets another charge going. Like, if he starts his charge animation, he'll catch up in a heartbeat. And now where I get concerned for the Skaven is late game Doom Flayers and Rat Ogres are going to have a pretty bad time fighting Scarbrand. And then they're going to get rear charged by Khorne Cavalry, and they'll have lower leadership because Ikit will be dead. So the only way for Skaven to win this is probably to bail Ikit out somehow. Otherwise their leadership's just going to be too low, as is usually the case with Skaven. Realizing they can't catch Scarbrand, they are now trying to go get the Hellforged Bellowers, but that's also a pretty hard task. And Scarbrand still going to try and catch Ikit. He's working on it. Pop. There we go. Ikit's leadership is so low now that I doubt he rallies, but Scarbrand definitely wants to get the kill on him to get that extra leadership debuff and just be done with it. Hellforged Bellowers trying to get some ammunition and get away. Scarbrand's just trying to get that last hit. Pop. Misses. You missed a 36 melee defense with your 64 while rear attacking and charging, you idiot. You stupid dumbass. Hellforged Bellowers still trying to kite out the Skavens or the skirmish cav with their arm-piercing throwing axes, and still working on it, buddy. I love how certain units get infinite charges, where they just like charge and charge and charge over and over again. I can never escape them, and Scarbrand apparently doesn't get any charges, and he just walks slowly after you, so feels fair. Certain units do, certain units don't. I don't know what the difference is. Net and Rampage at the same time. That is pretty useless. Karanak had the instance you're talking about, Karanak had already netted for quite a while, and it wore off, and then Scarbrand uses Rampage. If you net someone during a rampage, then you might as well have just netted them. All right. Hellforged Bellower is trying to heal up off of Skaven Slaves. Get some extra ammunition, get some healing off of those guys for free while Chaos Warhounds jump in. And the Chaos Warhounds eating Skaven Slaves can get a lot of kills. And then with those kills, you can have another Sword of Khorne in the late game to finish off these Triads and Night Runners and leave it with just Rat Ogres and Doom Flayers as Scarbrand rejoins the fight. But the dogs and the Hellforged Bellowers back off of the Molder monsters. Didn't want to deal with that. Khorne is the best option of sniping the Lord in the entire game. Oh yeah, for sure. I was just saying it's weird how certain single entities get charge attacks over and over again and certain single entities don't get them. It's weird. Like dragons. Dragons will get their charge animation over and over and over again. I'm not saying Scarbrand was a bad unit, it was just a weird look. You think CA will ever work on the whole SEs not attacking routing SEs? They already have been. A lot of the newer your single entity is, the more likely it is to hit stuff while it's chasing. It's the old ones from Warhammer 1 and 2 that have the most issues. But newer ones generally don't have it. Like Frostworms are great at hitting stuff that's running away from them. Dragons after the rework are great at hitting stuff that's running away from them. Scarbrand's generally pretty good at it. There are weird instances of like a bug where units will walk side by side and that one's just fucked. I don't know what they can do about that one, but animation issues is different. Like there's units that don't have animations while they're moving. Anyway, Skaven are ahead on the balance of power, but they've lost a lot of agency, so I don't know how they win this one. I'm guessing we'll see a rampage into a Sword of Khorne at some point, judging by how many kills Khorne is getting right now, as the Hellforged Bellowers is trying to charge back in, get a little more healing, get a little more ammo. Big tear out in on the Eastern Triads, and as soon as the Triads are out of the picture, Scarbrand's going to commit to the fight, because he just didn't want to fight on top of the Triads, but without them, he's more than happy to fight. In comes a terror out as all these rear charges come in. Balance Power still thinks the Skaven are winning. I don't think the Skaven are winning because the Skaven are all running away. And it's hard to win while you're running away. Terror out's going to hit these two and you're going to get army losses. Look at this, by the way. Everything but this Doomflayer is routing, and it's 1 second away from routing, and the Balance of Power is like 50-50. Anybody could win it. Anybody could win it right now. Oh my god. Oh, did you already terror out recently? Oh, it's terror immune. Oh, that definitely changes my whole opinion on how this game's going. Ah, fuck it, terror outed. Oh, Balance Power for the first time thinks Khorne's in the lead now that it has checks notes a Triad with 10 leadership. Wow. So pretty patient by Khorne there, but yeah, that's a lot of Skaven endgames. If your Lord gets sniped out, you can just get run around and then eventually terror outed out. GG. Have you tried the new siege battles? I have not. What is even keeping the Skaven in this game? Okay, I don't know what it was. I literally couldn't see a unit that wasn't routing. Good game overall. It was pretty close. But once Scarbrand the player and Scarbrand the character ran Ikit very far out of the formation, it started to get pretty cursed for the Skaven. And the early game was just rough from getting kited out by the Hellforged Bellowers for a long time. Yeah. Marauder Horsemen all did well. Hellforged Bowers did well. Karanak did okay, but didn't actually pay for himself, and then got killed by Triads very quickly. Scarbrand did well. Hot take, Grease's Goldtooth has the best animations in the game. That is a hot take that I disagree with very strongly. Very strongly. The thing where he like stops and... because he has that monstrous impact now where he can slow you down. But his model is so jank that when he turns, he has to stop entirely. So if anybody moves away from you at an angle at all, he has to stop and turn, and it takes him so long to turn and then get moving that monstrous impact wears off before he even turns towards you, so you can just get away again. It didn't change anything. All right. Again, I'm going to just scroll till I find either Dark Elves versus Ogres or Empire versus Greenskins. We have 2 games left. Okay, we found Empire Greenskins. We have Torson versus Segos for our second to last game. Torson versus Sego's, and Sego's going with his classic Empire Kite. No finals today? No. Finals, the top 4 are live on Sunday. No replays, just live games. All right. For Torson and the Greenskins, we have the 8-Peak Loons, Arwar, Fanatic Goblins, Orc Boys, and Savage Orcs in the front line. We have a Night Goblin Shaman with Vindictive Glare and Curse of the Bad Moon. 2 Goblin Bolt Throwers, Goblin Wolf Riders, the 300 gold ones, and then Orc Boar Boys and Boar Boy Biggins, with, of course, the Rampage and Netcaster Goblin Lord. On the other side for Sego's, it is a pretty classic Sego's / Alfredino Empire build. We have Mercurial Shot and Restock Engineer, Outriders, Empire Knights, and then Elspeth von Draken with Fate of Buna, Spirit Leech, and then her Death's Timekeeper on top of her Carmine Dragon, and then a very minimal melee infantry corps. But generally, not all the ODM guys, but this is a classic ODM style build where they just try and hard kite you with Empire. That's generally how I see them play. Generally. ODM's gotten very large in recent years, so I'm sure there's plenty of players that don't play that way, but the ones I remember, like Cal Harmon, Sego's, Alfredino, Loopy, they all generally play this style of Empire. Heavy Outriders, always an Engineer, quite often Elspeth. I mean, hell, in Turin's faction war, or whatever, we did the Conquest faction war, Alfredino took a similar build versus my Skaven. He one-shot Ikit Claw with that bitch's breath attack, and then I surrendered, so... yeah. Couple nerfs ago from her, but... Sego's gonna try to kite it out, but the double Goblin Bolt Thrower could make that difficult. Goblin Bolt Throwers aren't that good of a unit, but you still have 2 cheap artillery firing free shots at your Outriders or Empire Knights all game, so you'll have to do something about that. Their damage isn't particularly high, but they're also not that expensive, so kind of a wash. Sego's continues to kite it out. These Orc Boys are pretty overextended, so I think now Torson's going to have an issue where if his Boar Boys back off, then the Empire Knights are going to free charge these Orc Boys and take them out. Or if the Boar Boys stuck around to protect the Orc Boys, then they'll get shot. We also have some Goblin Wolf Riders suffering a similar fate, so the Greenstick is getting pulled a little bit apart here. I don't love that. Kind of crazy how Greenskin Cav is capped at 70 speed. Their Goblin Wolf Riders are 92 speed. What you talking about? What you talking about? This could be a bit of a disaster, though. Elspeth is getting dangerously close to getting rampaged. Yeah, she's getting rampaged, and she's like 3,000 gold, so if she dies here, this is going to be bad. She does have a lot of tankiness in Dark Walker, and then her other thing, which we didn't bring, but she has 2 things that can give her physical resistance. Fate of Buna did hurt the Broken Tusk Mob a little bit, but she is stuck now. Dark Walker is popped, but she's going to get Tormentor's Sword, I imagined, to net her in place, as I'm getting a call. 1 sec. Hey, shut up. Shut up. I'm just going to text the guy who called me and say I'm streaming. Okay, sorry, just had to tell him not to call me again. All right, Outriders trying to peel, Empire Knights trying to peel, so everybody's throwing in to heal, peel Elspeth von Draken, but she definitely got too close to that little Night Goblin guy. She's faster, so she shouldn't have ever ended up in range. That's a bit of a problem. Looks like the Bolt Throwers are going to get shut down by the Outriders and the Engineer over here, but this is a big part of the game right now, is if Elspeth gets off the ground or not. She already used her Death's Timekeeper, so she only has 1 more use of that healing, and it's not available for a while. Those are dogs, though? You said all their cavalry. Their cavalry isn't hard locked at 70. The Wolf Riders are cav. Their heavy cav is hard locked at 70, but they're boars. Boars are slow. You silly. Anyway, Elspeth is going to rout, and that might just be an early GG. She got netted and rampaged near the edge of the map, insta-killed, and pushed off, so that's really brutal. The Empire loses their caster, they lose their 3,000 gold dragon, and they lose their lord right away. We do still have 4 Outriders with a lot of ammunition. We still have Empire Knights and the Engineer, but I don't know. That doesn't feel too good. Because he also still has 2 uses of his Rampage. So that means 2 times Empire Knights or Outriders are going to get in range of the Greenskin build and just get pulled into it and die. Outrider stats look so good. The handgunners on horses, but they miss half their shots. Yeah, they miss a lot. But Sego is going to throw in the towel after losing Elspeth. He's just going to realize that she died. And he didn't get a breath attack off with her either, so that was pretty damn brutal. Can't play around with those Greenskins rampages. It was a very early surrender that I agree with. I'm not trying to throw shade, but it was an early surrender, so you're not going to see a lot of value on anyone, really. Goblin Bolt Throwers were doing all right. Orc Borby Biggins that surrounded Elspeth and killed her did very well. GG. G to the G. So we have 1 game left. And there's no possibility of spoilers, but just so you can see the bracket, we will advance. So the Greenskins of Torson have to fight... I need to copy, I don't need to drag. There we go. Greenskins of Torson need to fight Alfredino's Dwarves. Still a very uphill battle for him there, but doable. But who will face Scarbrand's Khorne and be the final of our top 4? We have Sepa versus Berserk. And funnily enough, this is chronologically the last game that was played. So that works. Let me just find the faction war game to delete. And then there is Sepa versus Berserk. Dark Elves Ogres! My goodness! Berserk sticking with his Paymaster tech. Versus Sepa's, I believe that's the Beastmaster on his chariot, is usually what Sepa runs him with. And a Charybdis. You want Boar Boy Biggins to be faster than Empire Knights. You ever seen a pig run? They're not that fast. They're not faster than horses. All right, let's do this. Yes, it is Sepa's High Beastmaster. I know he loves this guy. He keeps taking him all the time. I'm generally not a believer in the High Beastmaster, but Sepa's pretty damn good as a player, so I'll believe him if he says it's good. 5 Dread Spears, a Charybdis for the -8 leadership versus the Ogres, but also good anti-large and armor-piercing. Sorceress of Fire with Burning Head for more leadership debuffs. Gets rid of those Nobblars nice and quick. A couple Harpies, 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers, 2 Cold One Knights. Wait, sorry, 3 Cold One Knights, and a Doomfire Warlock. On the other side, for the Ogres of Berserk, he's been running a similar build in all of his matchups this tournament. 2 Iron Guts, a couple Ogre Bulls, a Crusher with great weapons, 2 Lead Belchers, 1 Lead Belcher, 1 Lead Belcher, 5 Noblar Slingers, some Sabertusk packs, and the Ogre Paymaster with a Butcher of Death at his side. Maw Shard buffed up, Fate of Buna, and then a Soul Blight. Problem for the Ogres is I don't think Berserk was expecting the 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers, so now his Lead Belcher is gonna lose the ranged battle, and it's gonna force the Ogres to go into melee in a way they didn't want to. Because Berserk's done pretty well by forcing you to charge into his Noblars, and then he countercharges you with Ogre Bulls and Kites back and all this stuff. But when you're forced into the enemy because the 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers are just getting constant damage on you, his Noblars have to get aggressive, which isn't what they do, and his Ogre Bulls are going to end up charging all alone onto Dread Spears, and that's not going to work well either. So this is the first time he's forced into the enemy, and his build, we'll see if it works. My instinct is he didn't want to be on the aggressive since his front line has no melee Noblars and it's just Slingers. High Beastmaster's very good. The cultured Dark Elf Lord choice. I tend to just like a cheap Dark Elf caster Lord and then go wide with the rest of my army, but I've never pretended to be that good of a Dark Elf player. Probably second or third best Dark Elf Lord at the moment. Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think it's terrible, I just don't think it's like the best. Tormentor Sword nets the Sabertusk pack that we're trying to charge him, and then a nice Cold One Knight charge just takes out that Sabertusk pack for free, so very good pick for Sepa on that one flank. And in comes the Doom Bolt from the Doomfire Warlocks onto Lead Belchers, plus those Reaper Bolt Throwers are still harassing them down. And Berserk is trying to figure out how to engage with this. He is moving up with some of his Flingers a bit, but the Lead Belchers are just getting slowly attritioned out by the Reaper Bolt Throwers. Now, the artillery lover in me would say, if 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers are shooting at a mostly static Lead Belcher, and they've used half of their goddamn ammunition and haven't even killed it yet, please, please buff artillery, please. They're so fucking bad. Artillery is so goddamn bad. I'll die on this hill. Everyone and their grandmother's like, no, but this specific one artillery I like is good, so all artillery is good. No, most artillery is fucking dog shit. Look at this. Look how long they've been shooting that one fucking Lead Belcher. And I still remember in this very faction war, 4 bolt throwers couldn't kill Alfredino's single gyrocopter. And that's not why I lost that game, but it did piss me off a lot, because even when that motherfucker went AFK with his gyro, he stopped moving it. 2 of my bolt throwers were shooting at an AFK gyrocopter, and they barely even damaged it in 4 volleys. Artillery sucks so much ass. Please buff this shit. I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of artillery sucking. And if you're out there and you're like, him boy, shut the fuck up, artillery's stupid, artillery's dumb, artillery's blah 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 blah. You know why you get kited all the time? You know why we're in the single entity meta? You know why we're in the all cavalry no infantry meta? It's because fucking artillery sucks dick, dude. It's because it sucks. You know what used to wreck single entities? Cannons, bitch. You try running a single entity into a cannon, you get fucked on. You need artillery to take out that. You need infantry to take out that cannon. You need archers to take out that cannon. You need other cannons to take out that cannon. You can't just walk a dumbass giant up to a cannon. That giant's gonna fucking die, dude. Artillery stops single entities. Artillery stops kite, but it sucked for so fucking long. We've been in a single entity and kite meta for like 2 years, bro. 2 years. And people are like, how could we fix it? We just have to nerf single entities. Or you buff the thing that kills single entities. What kills single entities? Artillery, bitch. Halfway across the map, deleting your ass. Oh, I'm done. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate artillery. In honestly, all of game 3, artillery's been ass. All right, Lead Belchers still alive after these Reaper Bolt Throwers have been shooting at them for like 6 years. Berserk's moving up, but again, here's the problem. Like, he can throw Nobblar Flingers into melee to break the Dread Spear's charge defense, I guess, but this isn't really what he wanted to do. He really wants to force you to engage his Nobblar Flingers, which shoot at you all the way up to them. And then when you're on top of them, his Ogre Bulls countercharge, so he's having some issues. But we get the Super Fate of Buna with the Maw Shard, so that entire Cold Knight is going to die from Berserk's caster tech. His Paymaster's falling back, and now we get a bit of a melee fight. In go the Crushers onto Doomfire Warlocks. They're getting countercharged by a dead Cold Knight, so it's really not that big of a deal. And the Charybdis is in here. The whole time this is going on, the Reaper Bolt Throwers are firing in. It's something. It's not incredible, it's something. We have Flingers on this side, some Ogre Bulls and Iron Guts waiting to get engaged. It looks like they're starting to move up now. They're going to maybe try and catch these Dread Spears unbraced, but I wonder if Sepa has the time to stop them or if they're going to take the full impact damage. They're going to take the full impact damage, so Berserk is waiting for that. But this right here, I'm going to pause it because like I actually want to talk about this, but I don't want to miss too much of the battle. This is what his build is designed to do. When you have to charge the Flingers, you break your charge defense, and the Ogres do so much damage on the charge. That's how he's gotten so much damage out with these guys, even though he doesn't bring Nobblars to support them. Because the traditional thinking around the Ogres is you need Nobblars beneath your feet to protect you. And Berserk's kind of flipping that and forcing you to break your formation, come to him, and then he hits you on the charge. And then kind of treats the Ogre Bulls like cavalry rather than like monstrous infantry. So he's not trying to break a static front line. He's trying to take pockets of engagement by forcing you out. So Sepa's build's the first build that's forced Berserk to come to him, which is why it's getting a little more awkward. But that's what he wanted to do to every Dread Spear. Look at that. It's dead on the charge with a basic Ogre Bull. Damn, that's brutal. At least that's what I think he was trying to do. I don't know. Berserk's the only one who could truly tell you what he was trying to do with this. But there we go. He routed the Dread Spear pretty much on the charge. That was gorgeous. But Sepa's done a really good job of stopping Berserk from being able to do that to him all game. Crushers got murdered by something. I'm guessing it's the Charybdis plus Reaper Bolt Throwers plus Dread Spears, but the Crushers already being dead is a huge problem. And they're not even worth healing at this point. There's only 6 models, and they're going to get chased down by Cold Knights, and they're not coming back to this fight. That's a really bad sign for the Ogres. What is going well for the Ogres, though, is they finally penetrated the back lines. The Reaper Bolt Throwers are going to get shut down any second now. Ogre Bulls and the Paymaster doing excellently. The Paymaster, as we saw, if he can duel Karl Franz, he can beat up a Sorceress of Fire, so he should be fine. We have a lot of Flingers left, so in the late game, the Charybdis is going to be in trouble if it's down to, like, the Charybdis versus a whole bunch of Flingers. They are just going to spread out and pin cushion his ass. I mean, look, each volley does, like, 200 damage, which isn't a ton, but there's enough Flingers, and that thing doesn't have a huge health pool. It's not a Hydra. It looks like a Hydra. It's not a Hydra. It has no healing. So all that damage sticks. Something's going down here. It looks like a Soul Blight from the Doomfire Warlocks, one of their bound Soul Blights. And the Ogre Bulls are routed off. The Charybdis is in. The Charybdis is hunting down that Butcher of Death. Gonna terror out him, and actually might shatter him pretty soon. If it gets one more hit on him while he's fleeing, he might shatter. We have Ogre Bulls cleaving through some of the Dread Spears that are left, but the Ogres have good balance of power. They're not ahead, but, you know, it's not over yet. But I'm a little more pessimistic on them than the balance of power would indicate. There's a full health Cold Knight, there's a half health Charybdis, half health Caster, still a good amount of Dread Spears. For the Ogres, I'm more curious what's holding up their balance of power. They have a healthy Paymaster. That's about it. We have a couple Noblar Flingers here and there, some Iron Guts off in the distance, but I don't know. I don't know what the game is seeing to keep the Ogres in this as much as it is. Paymaster's running away from the Charybdis. Charybdis is just kind of lumbering after him. Charybdis was really slow for a second there. I think he maybe dismembered it. Cash Cascade down to give the Noblar Flingers 46 melee attack. I mean, they have no weapon strength, so it's pretty whatever, but that is funny. And Berserk's actually just going to throw in the towel. I think he agreed more with my assessment than the balance of power, that he was kind of doomed at that point. Artillery are just point-and-click adventures. Those are bolt throwers. Bolt throwers are artillery. Well, Sir Catbeard, I just got around to reading chat. I like that a lot. Well, you won't die on this hill for a while if bolt throwers are shooting at you. That's funny. Bolt throwers are low-key goated at killing lead belchies. Like, you need them, sure, but they took two of them took forever to kill that damn lead belcher. It took forever. Less artillery, more of a problem with bolt throwers. I mean, we had a cannon earlier, the ROR cannon for the Empire, shooting at the Iron Demon of the Chaos Dwarves, and then it shot at heavily armored Chaos Dwarves until it got shut down, which it shot for a long time and it got like 500 value. Doomdiver Catapult. Most artillery is poor. Show value on bolt throwers. Yeah, they eventually got 1,100 and 1,000 shooting all game. Charybdis was doing fine. He would have gotten more value if the game had been played to the very end, because he would have gotten to kill the Paymaster and gotten a lot of value. Then Dread Spears did okay. Golden Knights did okay. For Berserk, Paymaster struggled. The Butcher did all right. Ogre Bulls did fine. Iron Guts did okay. Noblar Flingers did very well, actually. Very, very well. Lead Belchers got shot down by the Bolt Throwers. Saber Chest Packs all got murdered. So did the Crushers, too. Damn, so much artillery value. OP, please nerf. Yeah. I forgot. There's some Legendary Lord Tournament spoilers there, so I need to turn that off real quick. There you go. You're on the bracket while I go and find that replay and take it out of my replay folder so it doesn't take so long to load every time. Okay, so we got to the top four. We know it is Dark Elves, Dwarves, Khorne, and Greenskins. That will be played live on Friday. Not Friday, sorry, Sunday. Sunday we'll have 2 best of 1s and then a best of 3 final. Should be good. Should be fun. And yeah. And to the haters out there saying artillery is actually secretly goated and I'm just a dumbass, I see some people saying it's just a bolt thrower problem. I mean, let's take a look at the artillery in the game. Cygor, trash. Field Trebuchets and Blessed Field Trebuchets, pretty fucking bad. Does Bretonnia use them because they need artillery of some kind in some matchups? Yes, but they're pretty fucking bad. Hobgoblin Bolt Thrower, pretty bad. Magma Cannon, okay. Hell Cannon, pretty bad. Destrick Rock Launcher, okay. Dreadquake Mortar on its own, pretty bad. The one where it is bugged and can fire in melee, which it's not supposed to be able to, that one's bugged and banned in most tournaments. But fair, you get that one. Dark Elf Reaper Bolt Thrower, pretty bad. Dwarves. Grudge Thrower, pretty bad. Bolt Throwers, good. Cannons, fine. Goblin Hewers, okay. Organ Guns, bad. Flame Cannons, fine. Empire. I'm going to go through every single one. If you're here just with the faction war, that shit's over. Mortars, bad. Great Cannons, bad. Hellblaster Volley Guns, bad. Hellstrom Rocket Battery, not the ROR, bad. Hammer of the Witches, bad. Luminarch of Hitch, okay. Sunmaker, OP, very strong. I'll give you that one. And then the rest are Chariots. All right. Grand Cathay. Grand Cathay has some better ones. Grand Cannons are pretty good. Fire and Rocket Battery is pretty fine. Greenskins. Goblin Rock Lever, bad. Doom Diver Catapult, bad. Goblin Bolt Thrower, in my opinion, pretty bad. It's cheap, but also it's pretty bad. High Elf Bolt Thrower, bad. Corn. Skull Cannon, okay. Kislev, Little Grum, he's pretty good. We like Little Grum, he's good. He's good, I got nothing. Lizardmen really don't have any artillery. Maybe the Solar Engine, which is good, but it's mostly good because it's a single entity monster. It's not good because of its artillery. Norska has no artillery. Pass. Nurgle. Soul Grinder. It's a single entity with a lot of high movement and stuff. It's not really artillery, but it's good. But it's more single entities are good. Not as much artillery is good. Ogre Kingdoms. Thunder Tusk. Pretty good, but it's because it's a rampaging single entity, not because its artillery shot's any good. Scrap Launcher. Pretty bad. Iron Blaster. Pretty bad. Skaven. Flank Lock Catapult, bad. We're Plating Cannons, pretty good. We're Plating Cannons are pretty good. Slaanesh, no artillery. Tomb Kings. Scream Skull Catapult, pretty good. Ushapti Great Bows, if you count those, pretty good. Casket of Souls, pretty fucking bad. I watched a replay recently of 2 Casket of Souls in the Legendary Lord Tournament, and they barely could kill archers for some reason. They're so inaccurate. They're bad. Tzeentch, Soul Grinder of Tzeentch. Pretty good, because it's a fucking single entity that can move at 1,000,000 miles per hour, so I don't really think that's an artillery. And the Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch, pretty good. Same reason, single entity, can move really fast. Vampire Coast, Mortars, bad. Carronades, bad. Queen Bess, terrible. Necrofex Colossus, all right. That was all right. Vampire Counts, no artillery. Warriors of Chaos, no artillery. We haven't already mentioned, because we already mentioned the Hell Cannons. And Wood Elves, no artillery. There was a lot of bad in there. There was a lot of bad in there. There wasn't a lot of good in there. There was a lot of bad in there. Bone Giants were fair. Bone Giants are also good. Doom Divers are OP? No, Doom Divers suck ass. So many people have tried to get me to take Doom Divers, and every time I listen to you degenerates to take Doom Divers, they suck. And then all of chat is just, ha, he actually did it. He actually tried Doom Divers. I was like, you fuckers lied to me again. Artillery give you positional advantage? Yeah, but you can just ignore artillery for the most part. The Solar Engine Bowstick are both okay artillery, but that's the thing. They're not okay artillery. They're okay giant single entity monsters. Oh shit, now the stream's dying. Stream, why are you dying? Weird. Doom Divers are good at the beginning of the campaign when the enemy sucks. I mean, that's campaign. But yeah, no, like a lot of the artillery that are good are single entities that happen to have or they're useful in melee or they're useful in other ways, but not a lot of true artillery is any good. There's a couple, but there's a lot that are pretty bad. Like, you can't say Hellblasters and Organ Guns are good. You can't say that with a straight face. You're fucking trolling. You can't say Mortars are good with a straight face. You're fucking trolling. Is that Moira? Yeah, dude. I was an OG Overwatch Moira main. I have a rotating folder of like 1,000+ backgrounds from games and shows I like. Some of them are pretty sus. Some are pretty sus. I like a lot of anime, and a lot of anime is pretty sus. He's an Overwatch player. Like, most of my stuff is League of Legends wallpapers, to be honest. Because League of Legends has really good splash art. Mortars are alright. Mortars are trash! They're only good versus archers. And even then, I would argue they're not that good versus archers. Like, they miss a lot. You get some serious RNG. But they're not good versus infantry. They're not good versus cavalry. They're not good versus single entities. So it's like, yes, they're good versus specifically archers that are standing close together. And specifically, if you happen to get good RNG and get good hits in. I never played Marvel Rivals. Never did. I burned out on team-based competitive games because I got tired of my fun relying on whether or not the other 4 people felt like having fun. You say you like shows? Name one show. Easy. League of Legends. That's a show. I feel like a lot of artillery should be designated as siege equipment. I think artillery can fulfill a good role, though, as like anti-single entity stuff. Because, and anti-kite. Because you have more range than the kite tools, so you can force them to come into you and engage in combat. Whereas if you don't have artillery on a standard battlefield, generally kite's going to outrange most of what you can do and you're going to get run around. Like the Skaven versus Khorne game where Khorne had the skull cannon and Skaven had just night runners and shit and they're running after him. Like, you're going to get a lot more games like that where the high speed, medium range, if that's the maximum range, then there's no reason for the medium range faction to engage. But if you have artillery and you have longer range, then they have to come up, shut down your artillery before they can start kiting you. All right, for some reason, my streaming software is losing connection constantly again. So usually when that happens, it's a YouTube server issue, but we're done with the stream anyway, so I'm not going to troubleshoot it. I'm just going to end the stream. All right, bye, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the Faction War stuff. We'll do the top 4 live this Sunday. Please show up to that. Between now and then, we have a new player tournament on the 9th. That's Saturday that I'm casting for Big JP, so show up to that. And if I have time between now and then, I will stream more Legendary Lord replays. All right. Bye. Bye, everybody.